this budget briefing is hereby resumed. Committee Secretary, please acknowledge the resource persons and guests present this morning from the Department of Education and its attached agencies.
May we acknowledge our guests and resource persons from the Department of Education and its attached agencies. We have Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines and Concurrent Secretary of the Department of Education, Her Excellency Sara Duterte, Undersecretary and Chief of Staff and OIC of Office of the Undersecretary for Finance, Yusek Michael Wesley Powa, Undersecretary for School Infrastructure and Facilities, Epimako Densing III, Undersecretary for Operations, Rev C. Escobedo, Undersecretary for Administration, Nolasco Mempin, Undersecretary for Curriculum and Teaching, Gina Gonong, Undersecretary for Human Resource and Organizational Development, Gloria Humamil Mercado, Undersecretary for Procurement, Gerard Chan, Undersecretary for Legal and Legislative Affairs, Omar Romero, Assistant Secretary Sunshine Shari Fajarda, Assistant Secretary Dexter Galban, Assistant Secretary Francis Cesar Bringas, Assistant Secretary Alma Ruby Torio, Assistant Secretary G.H. Ambat, Assistant Secretary Noel Baluyan, and from the attached agencies from the Early Childhood Care and Development Council, Executive Director Teresita Insyong, Chairperson of the National Book Development Board, Mr. Dante Francis Ang II, Executive Director of the National Book Development Board, Ms. Charis Aquino Tugade, Executive Director of the National Academy of Sports, Professor Josephine Joy Reyes, Director General of the National Museum, Mr. Jeremy Barnes, Director of the Philippine High School for the Arts, Professor Josue Greg Suniega, the Chairperson of the National Council for Children's Television, Desideria Atienza. We have also from the Department of Public Works and Highways, Undersecretary for Convergence, Yusek Eric Ayapana. And from the Department of Budget and Management, we have Director Maria Grace de los Santos. May we also acknowledge our members present, Deputy Speaker Isidro Ungab, Majority Leader Manuel Jose Manix Dalipe, Senior Deputy Majority Leader Ferdinand Alexander Marcos, Deputy Majority Leader Antonio Tunipet Albano, Deputy Majority Leader Janet Garin, Deputy Majority Leader Jose Bong Teves Jr., Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan, Senior Deputy Minority Leader Paul Ruiz Daza, Deputy Minority Leader Franz Castro, Senior Vice Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations Stella Luz Kimbo, Vice Chairperson Jose Joboy Aquino, Vice Chairperson Maria Rachel Arenas, Vice Chairperson Claude Bautista, Vice Chairperson Claudine Diana Bautista Lim, Vice Chairperson Ching Bernos, Vice Chairperson Fernando Cabredo, Vice Chairperson Angelica Natasha Co, Vice Chairperson Rachel Margaret Del Mar, Vice Chairperson Ronald Singson, Vice Chairperson Eric Goyap, Vice Chairperson Carmen Zamora, Representative Maria Vanessa Aumentado, Representative Alfelito Bascug, Representative Drixie May Cardema, Representative Edgar Chato, Representative Ricardo Cruz Jr., Representative Siti Amina Dimaporo, Representative Antonieta Iodela, Representative Jaime Fresnedi, Representative Arlen Brosas, Representative Marisa Magsino, Assistant Minority Leader, Representative Nelson Dayanghirang, Representative Muhammad Khalid de Maporo, Representative Filimon Espares, Representative Daniel Manuel, Representative Roman Romulo, Representative Steve Chongbian Solon, Representative Gas Tambunting, and Representative Christine Alexi Tutor. That's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Z. Duterte, our Majority Leader Manix Telipe, Senior Deputy Majority Leader Sandra Marcos, Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan, esteemed colleagues, our DepEd family, on behalf of Speaker Martin Romualdez and our Appropriations Chair, the Honorable Saldico, magandang umaga at muli welcome po. Bagaman masaya tayo sa pagbabalik ng mga bata sa face-to-face learning nung nakaraang taon, tumambad sa atin ang mabibigat na problema na kinakaharap ng sektor ng edukasyon. In particular, we were confronted with the evident learning loss among children. In fact, according to studies, the country is suffering from a learning gap of 5.5 years due to the pandemic. Our Secretary of Education has identified inadequate school facilities and learning resources as one of the major challenges in the education sector. With a mere 104,000 school buildings in good condition out of a total 327,000, or approximately one-third of school buildings, our youth are being deprived of vital educational opportunities. So today, we look forward to learning about the Matatag curriculum that focuses on developing the foundational skills of learners in the K-10 curriculum. The program also recognizes the need to improve educational facilities and services by establishing resilient schools and classrooms. It will also provide additional benefits and training to more than 900,000 teaching personnel currently rendering their services to the country. Sa muling pagbubukas ng mga paaralan kahapon, merong 22 million na kabataan ang muling pumasok, bit-bit ang pangarap ng kaunlaran. With 16% of the proposed 2024 National Expenditure Program allocated to the education sector, this underscores our hope for an empowered department that nurtures the dreams of our youth. Supporting the DepEd is crucial, as education is a foundational right that acts as a catalyst for improved health, access to high-quality employment opportunities, and the achievement of a secure and prosperous life. DepEd stands as a key ally in our economic revival, with an educated population amplifying productivity and sparking innovation. Ultimately, DepEd remains as the bedrock upon which our youth builds their aspirations. So with this, we all look forward to a productive meeting. Baka lang po mahaba. Sama-sama po tayo sa pagbuo ng budget na magsisilbing tulay ng mga pag-asa ng ating bayan. Maraming salamat po. And at this point, I would like to introduce to you the sponsors of your budget. The lead sponsor is the Honorable Maria Carmen Zamora. And the co-sponsors are the following. We have the Honorable Len Alonte, the Honorable Claudine Diana Bautista Lim, the Honorable Angelica Natasha Ko, the Honorable Aldi Duhali, the Honorable Janet Garin, the Honorable Virgilio Lacson, the Honorable Ted Haresca Jr., the Honorable Claudia Bautista, and the Honorable Eric Goyap. Napakarami po, ma'am. And the Honorable Tony Pet Albano. Okay, so at this point, I shall yield the chair to the Honorable Maricar Zamora.
Thank you, Senior Vice Chair Stella Kimbo. Good morning, everyone. Today we will hear the Department of Education, including its attached agencies for the fiscal year 2024. The 2024 proposed total expenditure program of the DepEd amounts to 758.6 billion, which is 5.1% higher than the spending level of 721.79 billion in 2023. We urge our esteemed colleagues in taking the opportunity to hear and review the proposed budget of the Department of Education so that they carry out their mandate of providing the best basic education possible for all our learners. At this point, we yield to Her Excellency, Honorable Vice President and Secretary of the Department, Sara Z. Duterte, for the agency presentation.
Thank you. The Honorable Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Majority Leader, Minority Leader, Senior Deputy Speaker of the House, Deputy Speakers of the House, Chairperson and members of the Committee on Appropriations, other members of the House, ladies and gentlemen, mga kababayan, Assalamualaikum, madayaw, ug maayong adlaw kaninyong tanan. Magandang araw sa inyo lahat. We thank you for sharing this day with us and for the opportunity to present the budget proposal of the Department of Education. With me are the DepEd's undersecretaries and assistant secretaries. Also together with me are our directors, both from the central office and the regions, and the heads of our attached agencies who came with us to help address questions or concerns relative to our department's proposed budget. What we will be presenting is the proposed budget allocation in accordance with the National Expenditure Program, and we have prepared an audio-visual presentation for everyone to appreciate. May we request the Secretariat to please play the AVP. Shukran.
Ang edukasyong Pilipino, sasabay sa pagbabago. Ngunit nananatiling mula sa puso. Ano pa man ang pinagdadaanan, sisiguraduhin walang maiiwan. Lilikha ng paraan. Posibleng matuto kahit saan. Palilitawin ang ating galing. Mataas ang mararating. Ipagpapatuloy ang gabay at suporta na magbibigay ng pag-asa. Patitibayin ang pundasyon para sa matatag na edukasyon. Ito ang edukasyon ng bagong Pilipinas.
Ang edukasyon ng bawat Pilipino ay nangangailangan ng matatag na suporta ng nagkakaisang bansa. At ang sapat at angkop na budget ay isa sa mga susi upang makamit natin ang matatag na edukasyon ng bagong Pilipinas. Your Honors, we are pleased to present the Department of Education's proposed budget for fiscal year 2024. In this report, we will provide an overview of DepEd's organization, historical budget allocation and utilization, as well as our major accomplishments and milestones. We will also discuss our fiscal year 2024 proposal. Our organization is committed to providing quality education that is accessible to every Filipino child. To carry out our mandate, the department's central office consists of 9 strands with 78 functional divisions and offices, headed and supervised by undersecretaries and assistant secretaries to guarantee effective and efficient education services. In the field, there are 16 regional offices excluding the Bangsamoro region and 217 schools division offices under the Department of Education. As of 2023, DepEd supervises a total of 47,678 public schools and 12,212 private schools under its supervision. It is also the largest bureaucracy in the country, employing 1,016,066, or 56% of the government workforce. Considered as one of the biggest national government agencies in the country, the department has 969,938 filled teaching, teaching-related, and non-teaching personnel across the central office, regional offices, division offices, and public schools. As of July 31, 2023, the obligation rate of DepEd for fiscal year 2023 is at 50.01%. We are expecting that our utilization rate will improve in the succeeding months, given the opening of classes this August, completion of the remaining procurement projects in the following months, and completion of activities scheduled during the third and fourth quarter of the year. Meanwhile, the disbursement rate of the agency is at 96.55%. As we continue in our goal of creating a matatag education, we are thankful for continuous support from our partners in the executive and legislative branch, especially in terms of the consistent increase in the department's budget. For this fiscal year, we are expecting a 5.10% increase from our last year's budget, making it 758.60 billion pesos under the fiscal year 2024 National Expenditure Program. Over the years, the Department of Education has maintained an average excellent obligation rate of 95% and a disbursement rate of 97%. For 2023, we have already recorded a 50% obligation rate, and this will further increase as we approach the end of the fiscal year 2023. Your Honors, due to unprecedented changes brought about by the pandemic, formal education enrollment significantly declined in 2020. It was a challenging period for the Philippine educational system, resulting in learning losses. However, due to adaptability, through creating different learning modes, and our resilience, we enabled the education sector to gradually recover and achieve substantial recovery in the following years. Based on the latest data on Learner Information System, or LIS, we have 27,784,282 learners enrolled in the formal basic education system in school year 2022 to 2023, almost 1% increase from the previous year. In accordance with the DepEd Order No. 34, Series of 2022, the department announced that all public and private schools nationwide shall implement full face-to-face classes starting November 2, 2022, in consideration with the health situation during that time. We tallied a total of 28.4 million enrollees in basic education, including our learners from the Alternative Learning System, or ALS. In January 2023, along with a Basic Education Report, we launched the Matatag Bansang Makabata, Batang Makabansa Education Agenda, which aims to address basic education challenges of the country. The Matatag Agenda is DepEd's roadmap and commitment to resolve and confront head-on the challenges of basic education, especially the learning losses and poverty in the country. It is designed to strategically address the root cause of each education problem, specifically in terms of curriculum, education facilities and service, learners' well-being, and teachers' support, for our learners and teachers to have a better fighting chance in the increasingly complex and uncertain society. One of the main focus of this administration is to address the learning gaps of our learners primarily through the recalibration of the curriculum and prompt interventions. DepEd adopted the National Learning Recovery Plan and rolled out the National Learning Camp last July to improve learning skills in English, science, and math. Further efforts on learning recovery are underway for the next school year, as DepEd will implement the National Reading Program, National Mathematics Program, National Science and Technology Program, among others. On August 10, we launched the Matatag curriculum. It is the recalibrated K-10 curriculum of the K-12 program. We also integrated peace competencies and values formation in the curriculum, and as of today, the review for the curriculum of grades 11 and 12, or senior high school, is ongoing, and we aim to complete it next year. We have extended learning resources such as tablets, storage devices, self-learning modules, and learning activity sheets to a total of 18.5 million learners. We are already done with the procurement of 2.3 million pieces of learning tools and equipment, or LTE. This year, we are continuing to develop and produce additional learning resources, targeting to provide 9.5 million pieces of LTE to our learners. Specifically, we aim to deliver 2,439,996 kindergarten activity sheets and psychosocial support activity packs, and 4,628,245 textbooks and other instructional materials. The department has been distributing ICT packages to public schools as an effort to continue to integrate technology into teaching and learning and make education delivery more effective. Currently, we are procuring 6,416 e-learning cart packages, 2,985 smart TV package, 60,110 laptops for teachers, and 10,719 laptops for non-teaching personnel for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. We significantly improved our education infrastructure as we constructed 187 new classrooms with 711 classrooms still in construction, repaired 2,568 classrooms with 2,907 ongoing repair and rehabilitation, constructed 1,114 school health facilities with 669 ongoing construction, and constructed 10 new last-mile schools with 72 sites still in construction. For 2023, we target to build 5,133 new classrooms, repair 7,291 classrooms, and construct 88 last-mile schools. DepEd believes that providing learners with good nutrition complements our goal of supporting our children's education journey. Through our school-based feeding program, or SBFP, we fed almost 3.5 million learners, consisting of all kindergarten learners plus grades 1 to 6 learners who are severely wasted with nutritious food products, or NFP, and provided almost 3.5 million learners with milk. During school year 2022 to 2023, our feeding days of NFP was 30 days, and 16 days for milk feeding. For this year, under our fiscal year 2023 targets, we aim to cater 1,678,704 learners from kindergarten to grade 6 who are severely wasted and serve them nutritional food products, or NFP, and milk products for 120 feeding days through our SBFP. As we strengthen the public-private complementarity, the department has provided support to our learners through the Government Assistance and Subsidies, or GAS. 923,520 junior high school learners benefited through our Education Service Contracting, or ESC subsidy, and 1,355,135 learners to the Senior High School Voucher Program, SHSVP subsidies. For school year 2023 to 2024, to ensure that we can increase access to education and greater choice for our learners and their families for their needs and career goals, the department will sustain our GAS program by providing support to 1,179,329 million ESC grantees and 1,132,155 SHSVP grantees. The responsive and inclusive education programs for 2023 are designed to address educational disadvantages, especially in providing relevant education for our Muslim, Indigenous people, special education, and alternative education learners. In fiscal year 2022, our education system included and served 170,712 special needs education learners in the public schools, 271,322 learners for Arabic language and Islamic values education in both public and private schools, 136,392 Indigenous Peoples Education Program or IPED learners in the public schools, and 640,448 Alternative Learning System or ALS learners. We believe that learners' full potential can be achieved if they are respected and protected. DepEd looks after its learners through the newly established Learner Rights and Protection Office, or LRPO, that safeguards learners from all forms of abuse. One way of safeguarding our learners is through the Learners Telesafe Contact Center helpline, where abuses and conflict pertaining to child protection can be reported. We already hired and filled up 8,897 teaching positions and has an ongoing hiring of 653 teaching personnel. Meanwhile, 9,650 teaching items have been created under the fiscal year 2023 targets. And to fulfill our commitment of removing ancillary tasks and reducing the workload to our teachers, we hired 4,864 non-teaching personnel, and there is also ongoing hiring of additional 136. For fiscal year 2023, we are also requesting additional 5,000 non-teaching positions to DBM, as the department remains steadfast in its commitment to improve teacher quality. We continuously capacitated our teachers by providing them with training and scholarship programs. As of March 2023, DepEd has already capacitated 692,492 teaching and teaching-related personnel. Your Honors, we will now present to you our fiscal year 2024 budget proposal. Your Honors, presented in the screen is the comparison of our 2024 National Expenditure Program versus 2023 General Appropriations, as well as our 2024 revised budget proposal submitted to the Department of Budget and Management. DepEd's NEP budget level for next year is 758.59 billion pesos, of which 756.84 billion pesos is allocated to DepEd OSEC and 1.74 billion pesos is allocated to attached agencies. The overall budget of the department increased by 5% comparing from the 2023 GAA. However, we would like to emphasize the 2024 NEP level of the DepEd attached agencies. All 2024 NEP level of the 6 DepEd attached agencies of the department decreased compared to their 2023 GAA level. We would also like to show you that out of 712 billion pesos of the 2024 NEP level budget of DepEd OSEC, 566 billion pesos will be directly released to the field offices, leaving 146 billion pesos of the total budget in the DepEd Central Office. Your Honors, we would also like to highlight this equally important update for our DepEd's attached agencies. For fiscal year 2024, under the National Expenditure Program, all of their budget levels have decreased versus our fiscal year 2023 General Appropriations Act. We are presenting their requests for additional appropriation in the 2024 budget for them to implement more programs, cover more beneficiaries, and contribute meaningfully to the ultimate goal of our basic education sector. With a revised K-10 curriculum ready for phased implementation, we will now look at reviewing the senior high school curriculum. This will then be supplemented by the orientation of the teaching and non-teaching personnel. Likewise, we will sustain efforts to bounce back from the impact of the learning crisis through the continued implementation of the National Learning Recovery Program, or NLRP. The department will also continue existing programs such as the campus journalism, early language literacy and numeracy, or ELLN, and alternative delivery mode, or ADM. In addition, there will be a procurement of 71,407,893 textbooks and instructional or learning materials for printing and delivery. 1,162,865 pieces of TVL equipment or tools will also be procured for distribution, costing 1.7 billion pesos. Furthermore, 3,299,748 pieces of science and math equipment or tools will be procured for distribution. The National Assessment Systems for Basic Education will also procure various test materials to conduct assessments for all levels in the basic education, including the qualifying examination in Arabic language and Islamic studies for aspiring Islamic teacher for Filipino Muslim communities. For fiscal year 2024, the department will further accelerate the delivery of basic education facilities and services. Under the Basic Education Facilities Fund, or BEFF, for classroom construction, we are aiming for a physical target of 7,879 next year with 19.7 billion pesos allocation. For the BEFF for repair and rehabilitation, we have a physical target of 10,050 for 2024 with 6 billion pesos allocation. Meanwhile, for the priority school health facilities, our physical target for next year is 333 with NEP of 500 million pesos. And for next year's BEFF for school furniture, we have a physical target of 21,557 with 2.5 billion pesos allocation. DepEd also aims to provide 432 sites with electrification packages. As part of our construction plans for fiscal year 2024, we will be building 3 medium-rise school buildings in Marikina, Pasig, and Taguig. We will also establish 72 library hubs in selected priority areas to provide learners with access to resource materials. We will also establish 72 library hubs in selected priority areas to provide learners with access to resource materials. Additionally, we will create 16 Inclusive Resource Learning Centers, or ILRCs, for special needs education, with 1 center per region to offer a one-stop shop for support and related services to learners with special needs. With the NEP of 56 million pesos, we will also establish 4 Community Learning Centers, or ALS-CLCs, for the alternative learning system. We will also ensure that those in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas, or GIDAs, are provided with school buildings. For the Last Mile Schools program, we are prioritizing 176 areas with the NEP of 3 billion pesos. For 2024, we will prioritize 258 Gabaldon and other heritage school buildings for conservation and restoration with an allocation of 1.1 billion pesos. We will also deliver 1,410 e-learning cart packages, 5,818 smart TV packages, 34,500 laptops for teachers, 4,001 laptops for non-teaching personnel, office productivity tools, and other ICT programs and projects, with an 8.9 billion pesos NEP to accelerate the integration of ICT in teaching and learning and institutionalize blended learning. For fiscal year 2024, we will serve 1,031,605 learners under the Education Service Contracting, 1,342,420 for Senior High School Voucher Program, and 117,889 for the Joint Delivery Voucher Program for Senior High School. These three programs have the allocation of 12.5 billion pesos, 25.3 billion pesos, and 1.5 billion pesos respectively. The department's school-based feeding program aims to feed 1,678,704 learners for 220 days next year. For 2024, DepEd also aims to support 303,170 IP-Ed learners for its Indigenous Peoples Education Program, 180,000 Alive learners for its Madrasa Education Program with NEP of 154 million pesos and 432 million pesos respectively. Meanwhile, DepEd aims to provide services to 200,000 special need education learners with the NEP of 999 million pesos and 667,732 alternative learning system learners with 632 million pesos NEP in the efforts of fostering inclusivity for basic education. As support to our teachers, we aim to fill 20,000 new school personnel positions with a proposed NEP of 5.7 billion pesos to unburden our teachers with overwhelming administrative tasks that takes up their time instead of using that to prepare for their lessons. DepEd also plans to conduct human resource development for personnel in schools and learning to further capacitate our personnel. This program aims to benefit 142,202 DepEd personnel with a proposed budget of 2.4 billion pesos. We want to assure you and our constituents that DepEd will work together to provide the best education possible for our learners. We understand this is a challenging task, but with your help and support, we are confident we can improve the quality of basic education. Our journey does not conclude here. We look forward to the continued collaboration and momentum as we work towards realizing the promising future we've envisioned. Isang matatag na bansa at araw po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Before we proceed, may I remind our distinguished colleagues that each member is given 5 minutes for questioning or interpellation, excluding the response of the resource persons. And when you hear the bell sound, it means you only have 30 seconds to wind up with your questions. As part of a long-standing and respected tradition of the House of Representatives to accord preferential treatment to the minority members of the House and followed by the majority members in an alternating manner. The Chair now recognizes Senior Deputy Minority Leader Paul Daza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to our Vice President and everyone in DepEd and my colleagues. Madam Chair, considering that some of my colleagues in the minority were not allowed to speak earlier, I would like to yield to the one next on the list on the minority, no less than Deputy Minority Leader Congresswoman Franz Castro.
Deputy Minority Leader Franz Castro is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Magandang umaga po sa ating kalihim at syempre sa family ng DepEd. So yung unang tanong ko po, Madam Chair, ay may kinalaman sa salary increase. So sa naging briefing po doon sa DBCC, nabanggit ng DBM na meron pong at least 86.9 billion. for salary increase for government employees. So, ibig sabihin, nandun din ang teacher. So, matanong ko lang po, Madam Chair, ang ating kalihim, ano po ang inyong, susuportahan niyo po ba yung salary increase ng ating mga guro at ang ating mga education support personnel?
Madam
Vice
Chair,
President Sara
yes.
Duterte.
Yusek Mercado will answer.
Yusek Mercado, you're recognized.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have to, I must admit that we will be supporting the proposal for increase. As a matter of fact, we were directed by our kalihim, our Vice President Secretary, to contract out a study which we are doing with PUP, the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. We're working on the flow of salary increase based on inflation po. As you know, we used to leverage our rates with the private sector. But I must say that with the diaspora of 30,000 from the private sector to our public sector, we cannot anymore make reference to the rates of the private sector. Tapusin ko lang, ma'am. Pangalawa po, we have an existing study. We have an existing study which was already initiated by the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. And it's a study wherein we will be looking at the inflation rate of the country, and we will be leveraging the salary increases. But definitely, Your Honor, we will be supporting the proposal for increase of teachers, but it has to be empirically based. There's an empirical evidence for the increase of those salaries.
Thank you po. Ang malinaw, sinusuportahan
Yes po,
ng
Your
Department of Education ang salary increase kahit na ito ay maliit o malaki. So, natutuwa naman po ako, no? At nagkakaisa ang department at ang kinatawang ito para sa pagtataas ng sweldo ng ating mga guro. Next, Madam Chair, yung kaugnay po doon sa confidential fund ng DepEd. Ito po ay answerable lang po ng yes or no para mas mabilis. So number 1, COA DBM Joint Circular Number 2015-01 and ang guideline na gumagabay sa paggamit ng confidential fund. Yes or no?
Madam Chair, Yusek Po will answer.
Good morning, honorable members of the committee. Yes po ang sagot, Madam Chair.
Pangalawa, sinunod ba ng DepEd yung paggamit ng sinunod ba ito ng DepEd yung paggamit ng 150 million confidential fund?
Yes po, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Intindihin po natin na nang mabuti ang guideline sa Section 4.1 ng Joint Circular ng COA 2015 nakasaad kung sino ang entitled sa confidential fund. Sinasabi po dito na 4.1.1 NGAs which are expressly provided budget allocation for CF under the GAA. Yes or no?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair.
Salamat po. So kung merong budget allocation ng ahensya ng GAA entitled sa confidential fund at kung wala, hindi ito entitled. Yes or no?
That is our understanding, Madam Chair.
Yes or no?
Yes po.
So kung wala sa GAA, illegal ang paggamit ng confidential fund. Yes or no?
As per the guidelines, Madam Chair, unless expressly provided by another law.
Yeah,
I think
tama.
that is the complete
Oo.
phrasing under the guidelines, Madam Chair.
Yes, sa sa mga GAA, unless expressly provided, so hindi pwedeng magamit 'yon, di ba? Kung hindi ito provided. Kung wala sa GAA, illegal ito.
May I, Madam Chair? Kung wala po sa GAA or wala rin in other laws providing for such, Madam Chair.
Yes, oo, tama po. So ang pinag-usapan kasi dito budget So GAA law yung pinag-uusapan natin o yung yes, so yan po. So malinaw po no na na-establish natin na sinang-ayunan ng DepEd na illegal ang paggamit ng confidential fund kung hindi ito expressly provided sa GAA or anumang batas.
For DepEd
Yes or no?
purposes, yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. So for 2023 and 2024, may allocation ba sa confidential fund ang DepEd yung budget proposal? Yes or no?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. So no further questions on the confidential fund, Madam Chair. Ito rin sana yung ilang mga tanong ko sa OBP pero hindi ako pinayagan. Next topic ko, Madam Chair, yung tungkol sa, ito naman, mga parochial concerns. Service credits ng ating mga teachers. So yung unang tanong, ano po yung legal basis ng annual cap na 15 days sa service credits? Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Yusek Mercado will answer the question.
It's actually based on the ora-ora on civil service rules. In fact, Madam, Your Honor, to make you feel better, we actually has increased the 15-day service credit to 30 for purposes of the National Learning Camp.
Yes, ang kahilingan po sana, Madam Chair, ng ating mga teachers dahil itong service credits na ito, ay ang mga teachers natin masisipag yan, umattend ng mga seminar, mag-volunteer sa brigada, sa anumang mga pinagagawa ng DepEd, pero hindi lang po 15 days. So sana tanggalin itong cap na ito, at kung maaari, kung ito ay sa civil service rule, baka pwedeng matanggal itong cap na ito dun sa 15 days na limit ng ano, no. Kasi ayaw natin na tinithank you na lang yung mga teachers dun sa kanilang ginagawa. So pwede po ba na mapag-aralan at makapaglabas ng memo later on doon sa pagtatanggal ng cap o pagdaragdag man lang ng ano, no, ng service credit sa ating mga guro?
Your Honor, 30 days na po siya ngayon. Nailabas na po yung guidelines for an additional 15 days. So, there's an existing 15 days. May additional po tayong 15 days na kasama sa guidelines ng National Learning Camp. So, it's now 30 days po.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is a relief for me. Kaugnay, Madam Chair, ng PVP, Proportional Vacation Pay. So, nakita natin nung nakaraang pandemic, nagkaroon ng problema po tayo, no, dun sa pasukan at saka yung vacation ng ating mga teachers na nagresulta ito ng tingin namin ay overtime na 77 days. So, ito po yung 2021. Baka ang iniisip lang po natin marespeto, no, yung vacation ng ating mga teachers at least on summer na 60 days, 14 days sa Christmas break. So dahil sa nangyaring sa pandemic, nagresulta ito ng mga erratic, no, na humaba yung number of school days. So kailangan malinaw ito, malinawan ito, kailangan makapaglinaw tayo dito kasi may mga overtime pay na dapat maklaim ng ating mga teachers. So pwede po bang pag-aralan ito ng DepEd? Madam Chair.
Yes po, ma'am. Yes po. Actually, ma'am, for the proportional vacation pay, we released it yesterday, and hindi na siya ngayon yearly, ma'am. It's going to be multi-year na. So hindi kami every year mag-issue ng orders for the for the MVP. Yung sa overload pay, ma'am, nasa home stretch na lang ng consultation, yung overload pay. Meron din po tayong allocation from DBM for the overload, which is almost 1 billion already. 100 million. No, it's almost 1 billion pala, I'm sorry. But because for the past 2 years, hindi natin nagamit yung overload pay dahil hindi natin na hindi pa namin na i-rationalize yung kanyang guidelines. But now we went through a consultation already sa field, and we are going to be implementing it this year. So we have enough resources to cover that. Tapos pag may baseline na po tayo, ma'am, we will be requesting for higher allocation. Ngayon lang, wala pa tayong baseline sa access to the overload pay.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Follow up lang yung
You
sa
have 30 seconds
gagawing.
to wind up, Your Honor, please.
Yeah, Madam Chair. Sana makapaglabas agad ng ng guidelines ang DepEd kaugnay nito, yung tungkol doon sa overtime pay po, Madam Chair. At aasahan po ng kinatawang ito yung kopya nun, Madam Chair. May request na lang po ako, Madam Chair, no, kasi nanggaling ito doon sa ilang mga province. Wala pa pong PBB ng 2021 na na-release sa copies Negros Occidental dahil naubusan na daw ng pondo ang MPBF as per DBM na sulat. So wala rin pong buo sa Region 9. So sumulat na po ang ACT, Alliance of Concerned Teachers sa DBM, pero wala pang sagot. Maari po bang matulungan tayo ng DepEd, Madam Chair, para mag-follow up doon sa PBB ng ating mga gurong binanggit kong mga probinsya at region?
Ma'am, tapos na po lahat yung regions na teachers. Ang hinuli po namin are the non-teaching staff. So central office, RDs, and the non-teaching. Pero as far as teachers concerned, tapos na po lahat, ma'am.
Well, sa
Thank you
report
very
kasi,
much.
Madam Chair, sa report kasi ganon. So pwede bang makakakuha ng
Yes po, ma'am.
report tungkol sa PBB, pagbayad ng PBB?
Thank you very much,
Madam Chair.
Deputy Minority Leader Franz Castro, requesting the DepEd family to take note of the request of Deputy Minority Leader Franz Castro. At this point, the Chair would like to recognize Deputy Majority Leader Janet Garin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and a pleasant good afternoon to Her Excellency Vice President Sara Duterte and the DepEd family. My first question is, of the unfilled positions, if we make a comparison the past years as compared to the recent years, ilan na po ang na-fill upan?
Madam Chair, Yusek Mercado will answer the question.
Yusek Mercado, you're recognized.
Thank you, Your Honor. As to authorized items, we have 1,025,000 as of August 22, 2023, ma'am. Filled up is 974,696. So it's like 95.02%. So we have talagang by years if you look at the past years, ma'am, we always fill it up to 95.02%. Kaya lang, ma'am, yung 4% namin dahil sa laki ng plantilla, it's still around 51,000 positions. But as the year ends, halos papasok din siya sa 90% filled up.
Pero mas marami na po, Yusek, ang na-fill upan ngayon ikumpara sa mga bakante dati. Right?
Yes, ma'am, because
Yes.
we're proud to say that we are now prime HRM bronze, and we don't need to wait for attestation from the Civil Service Commission. Kaya yun before, matagal yung reporting because of the late attestation. Ngayon po, ma'am, pag nasignan na namin and the RDs, reported na siya agad. So mataas na ngayon.
Thank you
yung
very
fill.
much for that, Yusek. In the news, it says that out of the 205 COA findings or COA recommendations, 114 na po or around 56% ang na-actionan ng DepEd and 91 other recommendations are being partially being improved or achieved. Is this reliable?
Madam Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, that is true, Madam Chair. That is why we were given an unmodified or unqualified opinion by the COA for year 2022, which is a first in DepEd, Your Honor.
So out of the 205 COA recommendations, 114 have already been achieved and 91 are partially achieved. 114 plus 91 is a total of 205. Am I correct, Yusek Poa?
Yes,
Tama?
Your Honor.
Yeah. So with that, Madam Chair, may I commend the housekeeping tasks that had been done by the DepEd family headed by the Honorable Secretary, because it might have it would have felt as an impossible task previous years, pero ngayon kitang-kita natin yung bilis ng housekeeping compliance. Moving forward, Madam Chair, Your Honors, actually, Ma'am, Honorable Vice President, I grew up in the province. No? My grandparents are public school teachers. My mother was a long-time government professor. And I grew up with a family of many public school teachers. And when I was in school, magsakay-sakay kong put-put together with my classmates. And I had this crush in school before. I just don't want to mention the name because my husband might be watching. Patay ko, iniguli na ako sa balay. No, so we ride the put-put together, we play in Tagalog, they call it patentero. But I got broken-hearted. No? It's normal to fall in love during school years. Because that crush of mine nga, musakay-sakay kong put-put, kung musakay siya, dropped from school. And I realized later on, when we heard from his relatives, that he went up to the bukid. No? Siyempre, young students are actually prone to manipulation because we are not only young at heart, but we are also not that mature in terms of neurological decisions. In other words, students, especially those who are in public schools and those in the interior areas, can be prone to manipulation. Can I hear the side of the Department of Education family if indeed this is a problem in our community, especially sa amo ng mga taga-probinsya?
Madam Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is true, ma'am. We agree with you. It is one of the several problems we have in terms of security and safety for our learners, and not even just for our learners, but as well as our teachers and non-teaching personnel. In fact, based on the data or information that we gathered, just in 2016 to 2020, 12.3% of the 1,691 former CPP NPA rebels were minors. No? So ibig sabihin po nun, they were 12 to 17 years old, and this is the report given by the Eastern Mindanao Command. On top of that, we also have a problem in terms of learners joining groups that are into violent extremism, terrorism. And January 2017 to December 2019, there were 21 minors recruited to the Maute Group, 17 to the BIFF, and 5 to Islamic State-inspired groups. This is information given by the United Nations Special Representative for Children and Armed Conflict. We also have other problems, such as recruitment to child pornography, for example, aside from those concerns. In fact, we also have problems with criminal activities in our schools. No? Back in just January to December 2020, over 15,800 learners were arrested by the PNP and considered as children in conflict with the law. So as you can see, we do agree with your observation, Your Honor, and this is really a problem, and this is something that we want to prevent, to reduce, if not eradicate completely in our schools, Your Honor.
Thank you for that, Yusek, Madam Chair. Because actually, that crush of mine, guwapo siya og mistizo, no? He looks like Yusek Rebsi Escobedo, pero mas maputi yun. But then the problem is, nag-medtech na ko, I became a medical technologist, and I was pursuing my medical profession. And nakarinig po kami ulit sa kanya because he got sick in the mountains. So here we were already professionals, and here he was trying to start his life. And I empathize, my heart bleeds for him because he could, kasi matalino siya, he would have had a good future. So, Madam Secretary, Your Honors, Madam Chair, can we say that those taking advantage of the young minds of our students is actually not working for our country, but are instead contributing to educational sabotage?
Yes, Madam Chair. We always say the easiest way to destroy a country is to rob the country of its youth. No? And yun po yung nangyayari sa atin ngayon. That's why we are bent on protecting our learners, which is necessarily included in providing quality basic education, Your Honor.
Thank you for that, Honorable Yusek, Madam Chair. So may I appeal to the Department of Education family that we continue not only educating our children, because that's the future of our country. We provide them with literacy, but at the same time, we guard our young people and our young children so that hindi maipapaliko yung kanilang landas. Because I have here one of my mentors is actually our majority leader. He is not that handsome, but he is cute, and we actually call him Cute Boy. And because in the province, he was also doing everything to finish his schooling, now he is our majority leader. So in closing, Madam Chair, in closing, Madam Chair, may I again reiterate the importance of education. It's not just the core of our youth. Education is the key not only of poverty, but education is the key in weaponizing our basic resource, and that is our children. Because when we educate them, when we try to prevent them from neurological manipulation, we will end up with a peaceful, a happy and a progressive country full of cute boys and cute girls. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much to the cute Deputy Majority Leader Janet Garin. At this point, the Chair recognizes Assistant Minority Leader Marisa Magsino.
Good afternoon po sa inyong lahat, to VP Sara and the whole team of DepEd, to our colleagues. Importante po para sa ating lahat, especially sa ating mga mahal na OFWs, ang edukasyon. The very reason kung bakit sila po'y nag-a-abroad, blood, sweat, and tears para maipadala sa magagandang eskwela, whether public to o private. Edukasyon, tayo po ang pag-asa, ang kabataan po ang pag-asa ng ating bayan. Ngayon, for clarification lamang po, gusto po nating malaman, out of the total budget of 33,755 billion for the basic education facilities for 2024, 19.958 billion is allocated for the construction, replacement, and completion of kindergarten, elementary, and secondary school buildings, and technical vocational laboratories, and the construction of water and sanitation facilities. However, there's the matter of facilities, projects that cannot be implemented due to the remote location of the school, difficulty of terrain, security issues, and other justifiable reasons, of which DepEd and DPWH are directed to prepare a list. To address the problem, DepEd and DPWH are allowed to enter into memorandum of agreement with appropriate government agencies such as the Armed Forces of the Philippines and LGUs with capabilities to implement the projects. Similar provisions are also found po sa GAA 2022 at sa GAA 2023. Madam Chair, do we have an updated list of these affected areas? At marami po, how many school facilities po in which we already have built or are building since 2022, and in collaboration po with what government agency or LGU? Para po malaman natin ilan po ba ang nasa pipeline for 2024 at kung saan po. Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Yusek Densing will answer the question.
Yusek Densing is recognized.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Your Honors. To answer the query of the good Congressman of the OFW party list, this is part actually of the Last Mile Schools program of the Department of Education, which started in 2020, but the full implementation was done in 2021. As of date, from 2021 and 2022 and 23, we've received a total budget of 1.5 billion each, with an average site of 76 and 88 sites for 22 and 23. In 2024, we're expected to double the budget from 1.5 billion to 3 billion, which will cover 176 last mile schools. As of today, we've identified 9,225 last mile schools, to which 9,025 needs to be upgraded. And as a report, Your Honor, aside from the 6 which is already completed this year, just yesterday we've simultaneously turned over and inaugurated 15 more last mile schools in various areas in region 6, 7, and 8. And we expect another 6 in the areas in the coming weeks. So the program is moving, and we look forward to have more budgets for the last mile school, especially with the National Expenditure Program for 2024 doubling the budget. And for your information, Madam Chair, we've already identified the 176 sites for 2024 last mile schools, and there's a possibility, or possibly we will be doing an early procurement activity for these 176 sites. Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's very nice to note that we already have constructed the 176 MLS, and it is very reassuring that this is moving forward. Now, doon po sa creation and teaching positions natin, this 2023, meron pong amount na 7.4 51 billion is allocated for the new creation of new positions in the department. However, that for 2024, ang proposed budget for the same purpose was decreased to 5.469 billion. Do these new positions for 2023 and 2024 pertain to teaching positions only or include po ang non-teaching positions? What is the breakdown po? Why is there a decrease in the funding for 2024, which will mean lesser number of positions when we are suffering from a chronic shortage of teachers in our public schools, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, Yusek Mercado will answer the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. For 2023 po, we have an allocation of 10,000 positions teaching and another 5,000 non-teaching, which includes 3,005 admin officer 2, that's grade 11, and PDO 2 also, which is grade 11. For 2024, hindi po tayo, ma'am, na-reduce. In fact, 20,000 positions po ang ating na-allocate for 2024.
Okay. Madam Chair, so kung hindi po na-decrease, dumami po yung position, pero nag-decrease po yung budget. Am I correct?
No, ma'am.
Hindi po na-decrease?
Hindi, ma'am.
Okay, so that's very good to hear. Kasi we were just alarmed. Kasi paano po natin papasweldo yung increase nating positions kung wala po tayong pansweldo? To follow up question po, Madam Chair, water and sanitation related facilities po. For 2024, 500 million has been allocated for construction, replacement, repair, and rehabilitation of our water system, hand washing and toilet facilities, and other health and sanitation-related facilities of the schools to avoid the spread of diseases, ensure health and sanitation, and for the adoption of accessibility of persons with disabilities. Isn't 500 million too small for the purpose of nationwide implementation, considering the importance of sanitation and disease prevention among our students? Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Yusek Nensing will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Your Honors. With respect to the issue of public school health facilities, the 500 million is small. In fact, though the 2023 GAA provided for a 500 million budget for 333 sites,
Yes.
and another 500 million for 2024 National Expenditure Program for another 333 sites, we did not even get a budget for in 2022. And we're talking about at least 4 to 5,000 sites that needs upgrade in their public health school facilities. Many of the public schools do not even have a clinic so the 500 million is small considering the universe of needs of the public school system, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, the very reason why I'm asking, because I have been going around the different schools in the different provinces, dilapidated, no water supply, no toilet to stand with all the pandemic has been there, and the very reason is that the students are helpless. They do not know what to do. Even the principals, they have not done anything yet, and that's why the reason I told them we have to have DepEd be addressing the problem, and we are supporting the budget for DepEd for this. Maraming salamat, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Representative Marisa Magsino. Next to ask question is Representative Bambi Emano. Majority pa. Wala. So, diretso tayo dito. Then let's proceed to Representative Ditsatina Pancho.
Oh, sorry, independent.
Okay. Okay. Let us proceed to the next interpellator. The chair recognizes Representative Ed Salagman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the NEP, what is proposed for DepEd is an increase of only 5.28% compared to the current level. I surmise, Madam Secretary, that this is not adequate to respond to the priority projects and programs of DepEd. May we request the Secretary's comment on this?
Madam Secretary.
Madam Chair, yes.
Could you expound that yes?
Yes, there is not enough budget to address all the projects and the programs that the Department of Education wants to implement to improve basic education in our country.
And also secondary education, I suppose.
Yes, sir. Basic education covers K to grade 12, sir.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
In order for the committee to fully appreciate the requirements of DepEd, so that you could get your necessary budget, we are going to get data from you on the following shortages. First, on the number of enrollees in the primary and secondary education for the current school year and for the next school year as projected.
Who will answer?
Madam Chair, may we be clarified shortages on what?
No. This is not yet a shortage. I am
They're
just
asking for the
premising my...
data of, His Honor is asking for the data of the number of enrollees for school year 2023 to 2024.
Okay. Yes. Enrollment as of August 30 at 9 a.m., we are at 24,054,404 on all levels from kindergarten to grade 11. We have 20,643,282 learners in the public schools, and we have 199,933 in alternative learning system.
And what is the current classroom shortage, given the ideal of 25 pupils or students per classroom?
Madam Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As for the classroom shortage po, according to the National School Building Inventory, meron po tayo, because that's based on the said parameters, no? Meron po tayong shortage na 165,000 classrooms right now.
Okay. And what is the backlog in the construction of damaged school buildings and classrooms?
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, Yusek Densing will answer the question.
Meron naman ako.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Your Honor, the backlog in terms of major repairs of the 327,851 school buildings is 100,072 for minor repairs and around 89,000 for major repairs. In terms of classroom, if you convert this into classroom, it's around 202,000 classrooms needing major repairs and 240,000 classrooms needing minor repairs. Madam Chair, Your Honor.
And how much would this translate to in the cost of repairs for the minor and major repairs?
Your Honor, it's around 131.3 billion for the major repairs. For the minor repairs, it's supposed to be spent through the MOE of the school build of every public school. Therefore, maybe there's a need for us to increase the MOE of these identified schools needing minor repairs, Mr. Chair, Your Honor. Okay. Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you. And what is the shortage in textbooks and instructional materials, where the ideal is one textbook per student or pupil?
Madam Chair, Yusek Gonong will answer the question.
Yusek Gonong, please.
Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. We already have budgeted for 1:1 textbook for students and 1:1 teacher modules for teachers beginning school year 2024, Your Honor.
Is that ideal proportion funded in your 2024 proposed budget?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much is the funding?
It's 5 billion, Your Honor. That's for grades K1, 4, 7, which are the first grade levels that will implement the new curriculum.
And what is the shortage with respect to teachers in both the primary and secondary education?
Now, in terms of teacher manuals, Your Honor, we have allotted for...
Warm bodies.
Sorry. 189.
Madam Chair, Yusek Mercado will answer the question.
89,000 po, sir.
89,000
Yes.
teachers. And that is not, is that shortage addressed in the NEP for 2024?
No, sir.
No. And what is the shortage in sanitary and water facilities, as well as medical and dental facilities and professionals for the schools?
Madam Chair, Yusek Densing will answer your question.
For the facilities, Your Honor, the shortage of health facilities is 3,966 nationwide. The thing to be addressed for the NEP in the current budget, it only addresses 333. So the shortage is around 3,600 2024 and beyond, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
And how much would that translate to?
That should be around 7 billion, Your Honor, for all, if we are to address everything, Your Honor.
Is there a funding?
30 billion, sorry, so 30 billion.
Is there a funding for site acquisition?
Not in the last few years, Your Honor. The budget we only have for site, not site acquisition, but for titling purposes is 65 million, if I'm not mistaken. But for purposes of acquiring sites for buildable for school buildings, we have zero budget, Your Honor.
And we all know that land is scarce now for school buildings. And because of the increase in the value or price of real property, there are practically no donations anymore for school building site. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, you're very correct, Your Honor. In fact, on the ground, the problem really is buildable sites. And there's already lacking of donations from local governments or private sector individuals for purposes of constructing school buildings, nor usufructuary agreements at the moment. And there are local governments who are even taking away school sites which were donated by individuals or even local governments in the past, Your Honor.
And now, how much is the funding for the restoration of Gabaldon school buildings, which are considered cultural heritage?
Your Honor, for Gabaldon, the budget for 2024 NEP is 2023 is 1.3 billion.
Is that adequate?
No, Your Honor, because this will only be translate to 258 sites, Your Honor.
We all know that because of the passage of time, there is urgency in restoring the Gabaldon school buildings, because every day they are not restored, they are deteriorating. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. In fact, some of the Gabaldon buildings we visited, which were not initially put in the initial budget, have already deteriorated up to 80 to 90% of its former status.
Thank you, Yusek. Now, Madam Secretary, considering the universe of shortages in the Department of Education, how much should be the sufficient or adequate appropriation for the next fiscal year for the Department of Education?
Madam Chair, for the next fiscal year, we requested approximately 900 billion for the budget of the Department of Education. We were approved as approximately 700 billion in the National Expenditure Program.
Now,
But may I just add, for the information of or all our fellow Filipinos, we understand that there is insufficiency across all departments, not just the Department of Education. There is insufficiency in other crucial departments as well, particularly those in the social services sector like DSWD and DOH. The Department of Education is currently pursuing 2 tracks to solve the problems of basic education. Of course, we are there with the traditional build more classrooms and hire more teachers track that has been the solution of previous administrations and previous secretaries. But right now, we are pursuing another track as well, and that is learning from the lessons from the pandemic, where we want to institutionalize the blended learning program, where we intend to address the congestions in the classrooms, the lacking of classrooms, and the shortage of teachers by leveraging technology and using the asynchronous and synchronous styles of delivery in teaching. And that is currently the tracks that the Department of Education is doing with regard to our effort to solve the problems in basic education. We are trying to innovate in coming up with solutions, considering that we recognize the insufficiency of budget across all departments. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, may we request the good secretary, Madam Chair, may we request the good secretary to submit in writing to this committee what appropriation or additional appropriation would you need to answer all of these problems with respect to education for the next fiscal year?
Madam Secretary.
Madam Chair, yes, we will submit, we already have a wish list. We can submit it to the Secretariat.
Now, in the implementation of your confidential funds, do you request the assistance of experienced military and police officers in the conduct of confidential and surveillance activities?
You have 30 seconds to wind up, and please answer, Ma'am Secretary.
Madam Chair, yes, our field operations is constantly in discussion with the organization of the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, and the Armed Forces of the Philippines with regard to security issues among our learners and teaching and non-teaching personnel and in our schools as well.
But my question is, do you secure the assistance, the actual assistance of these experienced police and military officers?
Madam Chair, yes.
Yes.
We secure their assistance in various problems in our schools.
And do you give any compensation, allowance to these experienced police and military officers?
No, Madam Chair, we do not give allowances.
In other words, the disbursement of your confidential funds would not include extra emoluments to these officers.
Madam Chair, Yusek Powa will answer the question.
Yes. No, Your Honor. Our disbursement of our confidential funds is in accordance with 2015-01 per the activities enumerated under paragraph 4.81 to 4.86, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank
And,
you very much, Representative
Just one
Lagman.
point, Madam Chair.
Okay, for your last
Now,
question,
considering the universe of shortages in the Department of Education, which would need adequate funding, Madam Secretary, would you voluntarily withdraw your request for confidential funds in the Department of Education?
Madam Chair, there is a purpose and a need for confidential funds in the Department of Education because basic education is intertwined with national security. But of course, as we always say, we leave it to the discretion of the members of the House of Representatives and the Senate, the wisdom of granting confidential funds to the Department of Education.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I am done. Madam Chairman.
thank you very much, Representative Lagman. Next to ask question is Deputy Majority Leader Marlene Primicias Agabas.
Not here.
Representative Jaime Fresnedi. Okay. Representative Salvador Plato, please. Representative Drixie May Cardena. Yes, you're recognized.
Magandang hapon po. Magandang hapon po. Bilang kinatawan ng lampas 600,000 na Filipino sa Duterte Youth Party List, kami po ay sumusuporta sa buong proposed budget ng Department of Education. Ang concern lang po ng Duterte Youth Party List ay kailangan natin ma-identify.
May I request, Your Honor, please to speak closer to the microphone for us to hear.
Hello.
Thank you.
Kailangan po natin ma-identify ng DepEd kung sino ang mga iilang guro na pinapasweldo natin ng government funds pero nag-i-indoctrinate at nag-recruit sa ating mga kabataan papunta sa hanay ng mga CPP, NPA at NDA.
Closer to the microphone,
NDF.
please, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay po. Kung kailangan ng intelligence or confidential funds para ma-identify ng DepEd kung sino itong mga anay sa hanay ng mga guro na dinadala sa ibang landas ang ating mga mag-aaral. Ibigay sana natin sa DepEd lahat ng budget na ito. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you for the manifestation, Representative Cardena. Next, to ask question from the minority, Representative Raul Manuel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, dahil ito ay continuing session ng Committee on Appropriations, I just want to put on record that as a youth representative, I am in a position to question tradition that no longer works and serves as barrier to healthy discussion about allocation and use of public funds. Our tradition of extending parliamentary courtesy stops us in the legislative branch to do our job for which we are paid by the Filipino people. Dapat po may checks and balances tayo. I do not want Congress to be complicit to illegal fund use by agencies in the executive branch. So allow me to put on record also my point of order sa proceedings kanina. Hindi po binila ang boto ng mga nasa dissenting opinion, hindi pinag-explain ng objection. This isn't democracy at work. I condemn the proceedings we had earlier. Traditions that no longer work should be stopped. Now, let me proceed to my questions, Madam Chair. Inamin po ng DepEd, led by the Vice President, na may item dapat sa General Appropriations Act bago magkaroon ng confidential funds. Illegal po kung wala. Now, on the DepEd confidential funds na nasa General Appropriations Act, nabanggit po last year, I can recall, nagagamitin din daw yung confidential funds to stop child grooming, abuse on our learners. May I ask po yung data ng DepEd sa paggamit ng confidential funds para masugpo yung ganito. Tapos data din po sa actual cases ng child grooming and other measures para masabi po natin na naging sulit yung confidential funds on this matter.
Madam Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As to the accomplishments of the Department of Education in the use or with the use of the confidential funds, nagsusumite po tayo ayon sa joint circular sa 4 na opisina quarterly as mandated by again the guidelines. Doon po tayo nagsusumite sa Office of the President, sa Office of the Speaker of the House, sa Office of the Senate President, as well as doon naman po sa ICFAO or Intelligence Confidential Funds Audit Unit ng COA. Now, of course, those activities are still ongoing pa po. But just to give you siguro po broad strokes, no, kung ano yung mga programa kung saan natin ginagamit yung confidential funds. Number one, it really cuts across yung ano po, no, yung education, basic education. So pagdating po, for example, sa programming ng ating last mile schools, ginagamit po natin yung mga intel
Madam Chair, I was
information.
asking about yung anti-child grooming and anti-abuse na data ng DepEd. Ilan po ba yung mga naging biktima nito in recent years? Tapos ilan yung mga cases na handle ng Department of Education?
Opo, ang masabi po natin, of course, as I mentioned, yung detalye po, sinasubmit natin yan, no, sa 4 na opisina. But we found out as to child pornography, no? Meron po tayong yung mga website increase from 23,000 to 81,000 and ang average age ng rescue sa ganyan ay around 11 years old. Tayo po ay nakikipag-ugnayan na rin ngayon sa Council for the Welfare of Children. May mga programa po tayong ilulunsad laban sa child grooming at child pornography po.
Madam Chair, para ma-define po natin yung child grooming, ito yung may mga teachers na kinoconsider po na potential dates yung kanilang mga estudyante. Yun po yung tanong ko, Madam Chair. So ilan po ba yung ganon nitong past year? Ilan yung na-handle ng DepEd?
Sa ngayon po, ang ongoing pa lang po, no, na na-handle natin na child grooming case ay yung nasa Cavite po. Yan po ay ongoing na po yung prosecution, and then meron din po sa Zamboanga. So 2 cases po ang officially na under ng DepEd ngayon.
Madam Chair, to be honest, disappointing po yung sagot kasi sa amin po maraming mga nakakarating na reports kahit sa social media ang dami. So kung may confidential funds po yung DepEd, kung pagbabatayin yung performance regarding this matter na sinight last year, wala pong maipakitang magandang performance yung DepEd. Parang dating po sa akin, Madam Chair, nag-iimbento tayo ng dahilan to justify confidential funds. Kahit nga po yung recruitment into rebel groups, quote-unquote, yung data pa po galing sa AFP. Alam natin, nag-iimbento ng data yung AFP pagdating sa rebels and rebel returnees. Kaya for me, Madam Chair, ang dating talaga, tinuturing na prey yung mga estudyante natin, parang balon ng kriminal yung mga estudyante, tapos justify yung confidential fund. Now, while we have budget for confidential fund, Madam Chair, tanong ko naman po on our mental health programs, saan po sa budget ng DepEd yung specific na para sa mental health programs?
Madam Chair, Asek Galban will answer the question.
Asek Galban, you're recognized.
Thank you very much for the question. When it comes to the issue on mental health, this has become a top priority of the Department of Education. As such, it is lodged under our learner support programs, and it is considered one of the major thrusts of the department for the foreseeable future.
So saan po? Kasi maraming mga programs naman yung DepEd, special education, madrasa at iba pa. Pero particular for mental health, since this is mandated by the Mental Health Act.
Yes. It is currently lodged under the Learner Support Program Fund. And it is actually one of the things that we're very thankful to the Congress for, because last year, you were able to accord to us for the first time a special provision fund of 97 million for mental health, which would be benefiting our learners now in this coming school year.
So for this year, magkano yung budget specific for mental health?
Our programs for mental health are intertwined. We have proposed 160 million, particularly for mental health and the improvement of our guidance counseling programs. And this is intertwined with our other programs for substance abuse prevention, adolescent reproductive health, among other youth programs.
Okay, Madam Chair, again, no, I'm alarmed. Mas mataas pa yung budget natin sa confidential funds ng DepEd kesa sa mental health programs when even DepEd itself has data na almost every day po, trigger warning, may nagpapakamatay na mga basic education students. Mas mataas pa yung bilang ng mga may suicide ideation o yung mga naiisip na kitilin yung sariling buhay dahil sa iba't ibang problema. So, hindi ko magets yung priorities ng DepEd sa ngayon, Madam Chair. Another topic, may data po ba yung DepEd, Madam Chair? Ilan yung estudyante na nasa full face-to-face classes?
Madam Chair, Yusek Escobedo will answer the question.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and your honors. Today po, and the entire school year 2023-2024, as much as possible ay full face-to-face po tayo unless kung merong disasters ay naka-blended learning po tayo.
Madam Chair, wala pong data na nabanggit. Kasi may schools pa rin na blended yung kanilang pamamaraan. But last year, ang policy ay face-to-face, so I'm confused. Again po, ilan yung nag-full face-to-face ngayon?
Current po ay 22 million dahil yun ang naka-enroll po ngayon.
How about schools? Ilang schools po yung may full face-to-face class?
All the 47,658 public schools, Madam Chair.
So given that data, Madam Chair, ang dami hindi pa rin pala full face-to-face. Kaya we really should get our priorities straight for DepEd. At kung may wish po ako, Madam Chair, sana wala ng confidential or intelligence funds yung DepEd tsaka OVP. I-realign na po natin yan sa pangangailangan na hindi naman confidential.
Thank you very much.
Madam
Thank you
Chair.
very much, Representative Manuel. Next to ask question is Representative Jaime Fresnedi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon po, Madam Chair. And good afternoon, Her Excellency Vice President Sara Duterte and the DepEd family. My question is regarding the budget for senior high school voucher. It appears that in 2023, your budget for senior high school voucher program is 39,326,804,000. But unfortunately, for 2004, your proposed budget for this program is 25,311,393,000. May we know, Madam Chair, the reason for the reduce budget allocation for this program?
Madam Chair, Yusek Powa will answer the question.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Tama po, bumaba po yung budget natin. Just to clarify, our budget for 2023 was 39 billion point 33, tama? And then pagdating po sa 2024, naging 25 na lang. Actually, bumaba po yung entire budget, hindi lang ng senior high school, pero pati na rin po yung ating ESC, no? Yung para sa grade 7 to 10. Ang rason po nun is not because we reduced. It's because nung 2023, 3 semesters po yung kailangan nating bayaran kasi may utang pa tayo noon na 1 semester. But sa taong ito, so for 2024, nakahabol na po tayo. So 2 semesters po yung babayaran natin. In fact, babayaran na po natin yung mga private schools ng isang bulto for the 2 semesters. Ito pong pasukan. So, wala po tayong binawasan, just to clarify, it was just a matter of billing. Kasi 3 semesters po yung kailangan nating bayaran ng 2023. Pero ngayong 2024, for the 2024 budget, 2 semesters na lang po.
Maraming salamat po, Madam Chair. May we know the numbers of the beneficiaries of these voucher programs since 2022 up to present? Madam Chair.
Yes, Your Honor. We will submit the total. For 2024, our target is 1,342,420. But if the Chair would permit, we will just submit the total since the program started, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May we know the disbursement rate of this program, Madam Chair?
Yes, Your Honor. We are at 97%, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on the 2022 budget utilization as per COA audit, it says that you have an unspent funds of 3 billion, which was intended for the procurement of learning tools and equipment. May we know the reason why a big amount of money was not spent for the procurement of this LTE?
Madam Chair, if I may. Yes, Your Honor, we confirm na meron nga po tayong finding na sa COA na ganyan. And to be honest, it is a mixture of issues. No? Ang first issue po natin is nagka-problema po tayo sa ating third-party logistics. So hindi po siya na-deliver sa ating mga schools. Dati po kasi, ang ginagawa ng DepEd is hiwalay yung supplier doon sa logistics provider because they felt that that was more efficient at that time. So ang nangyari po noon is yung logistics provider was not able to comply with the conditions of its contract nung pandemya lalo na, and was not able to deliver. Another aspect is also meron pong nangyari sa procurement na may mga contracts that were given awards pero hindi po nag-enter into the contract mismo yung DepEd with the winning bidder. So nagkaroon po ng delay na ganyan, meron pong mga proceedings, no, may mga motions for reconsideration filed. Ito po ay lahat inaayos na natin ngayon. Number 1, doon po sa logistics provider, we already partially terminated the contract para po hindi po talaga makapag-comply. And what we are doing now is we are already asking our regions, no, to procure itong mga logistics providers sa kanilang lugar para po ma-deliver agad-agad itong mga na-stock sa warehouses na mga materials. And doon naman po sa issue sa bidding, naayos na po natin yan. We will now enter into a contract with the supplier. So we're hoping po na maayos na po yan. And we already submitted our explanation as well to COA, which was accepted. That's why we were given an unmodified opinion. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We hope na ito pong problema natin sa mga suppliers natin ay for 2024 ay ma-resolve natin at upang yung pong mga kabataan na maasa sa mga learning tools ay talaga pong maibigay sa kanila at maging ma-improve po ang kanilang comprehensive knowledge. Panghuli po ay doon po sa 2024 NEP program proposal ay meron po kayong 5,000 budget para po sa mga teachers na binibigay pantulong doon po sa kanilang cash allowance for teachers to augment the expenses for teaching supplies and materials, among others. Ito po ay once a year, 5,000 pesos. Alam po naman natin na pataas ng pataas ang mga bilihin. Baka po pwedeng ma-increase natin itong 5,000 cash allowance nito, Madam Chair, I propose that we increase the budget allocation for support doon po sa teaching allowance po ng mga teachers.
Comment, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, Yusek Mercado will answer the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, sir, Your Honor, meron pong 17 bills pending ngayon po dito and it's been consolidated. And then there's a counterpart bill in the Senate by Senator Win. Ang proposal po doon is for 2023-2024, 7,500 from 5,000. And then by 2024-2025, magiging 10,000 na po siya. I hope you will support it, sir, kasi we're part of the conversation doon sa mga discussion, sa mga hearing po.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and rest assured that this representation will 100% support this increase of teaching allowance para po sa mga teachers. That will be all, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Congressman Fresnedi. Next to ask question is from the minority, Representative Arlene Brosas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I would like to ask questions about the learning losses dito. Madam Chair, sinabi ng Pangulong Marcos Jr. sa kanyang SONA nitong Hulyo, learning recovery will be at the forefront of our education agenda. Alam din natin na nakakabahala ang learning poverty sa bansa. Batay na rin sa World Bank report na 90% ng mga batang Pilipino ay hindi na rin nakakabasa sa edad na 10. Ngayon, paano po ito tinutugunan ng panukalang 714 billion budget ng DepEd sa susunod na taon? Ano po ang mga components ng program ninyo dito, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, Yusek Gonong will answer the question.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The Department of Education is implementing a National Learning Recovery Program. And under the National Learning Recovery Program, we have the National Reading Program, the National Mathematics Program, the National Science and Mathematics Program. We have just launched the National Learning Camp during the end of school year break.
Madam Chair, correct me if I'm wrong, yung National Learning Camp sa pagtatapos ng school year sa ilalim ng NLRP ay voluntary at hindi pinupondohan ng DepEd. Tama ba?
Madam Chair, it's voluntary for teachers and for students, Your Honor. But we have funded it. We've given program support funds for schools that implemented the National Learning Camp. We also have provided meals expenses for teachers who volunteered in the program.
Madam Chair, saan po specific kinuha yung pondo para dyan? Kasi magkano ang nakalaan halimbawa sa Early Language Literacy and Numeracy Sub-Program? Or nadagdagan ba ang budget para dito?
Kinuha po namin sa Basic Education Curriculum funds.
Madam Chair, 81.6 million lang ang pondo para sa Early Language Literacy. Tama po ba? That was last, ano? Hindi po ito nadagdagan. Saan nyo kinuha yung iba pa?
Madam Chair, Yusek po will answer.
Sorry, ma'am. Sige. ELLN has a separate line item budget, ma'am, and that is 81 million pesos.
Yes, Madam Chair, yun yung Early Language Literacy and Numeracy. Sinabi nyo kanina, under the National Learning Camp, di ba? So, ang pondo ay nanggaling saan particular? Sabi nyo sa DepEd, magkano yun?
It came from BEC, ma'am, Basic Education Curriculum Funds, and GMMS.
Yun. Madam Chair, sa National Literacy Policies and Programs, magkano ang budget dito?
That is 20 million, Your Honor.
20 million. Again, Madam Chair, magkano yung sa BEC? Galing?
4 billion, Your Honor.
4 billion. Madam Chair, kung pag-uusapan natin tong learning losses, enough po ba itong ginagawa para ma-address? And enough po ba yung line items ninyo dyan sa DepEd para ma-address itong learning losses or mataas nating learning poverty?
Of course, Your Honor, it is not enough. But just like what the Vice President and Secretary said, there are also other items that the government needs to fund.
Madam Chair, kung pag-uusapan natin kung wala yung sa BEC, no, na funding, at least yung 81.6 million, total lang yan, halos 105 million, ano, pag isusuma natin. Wala pa sa 1% ng kabuuang DepEd budget. Mas malaki pa po yung 150 million confidential fund ng DepEd Secretary dyan, Madam Chair. Kaya parang ang question po natin, paano sasabihin na nasa forefront o unahan ng education agenda ang learning recovery? Madam Chair, dapat yung sa literacy programs na lang, ilaan natin, no? Kung ganun din lang, kung kinakailangan pala natin ng pondo dyan, Madam Chair.
Apo. Madam Chair, when we roll out our national math program, national science program, and national reading programs, they are tucked into the regular classes of students, so they wouldn't need extra funds for those.
So you're thinking, Madam Chair, na ito ay extra funds? Kaya hindi nyo rin pinadagdagan yung 81.6 million na pondo for early language literacy and numeracy.
Ma'am, the early language, Your Honor, the early language literacy and numeracy is a separate line item budget from the basic education curriculum funds.
Yes, ang tanong ko po kasi naka-remain siyang ganon, di ba? Hindi naman siya dinagdagan. Kahit na sinasabi natin na may learning losses tayo, na kailangan natin ng ganito, etc.
There are other programs, Your Honor, that address learning recovery, not just ELLN. That's why we have in the basic education curriculum our reading program, our math program, our science program, and our national learning camp.
Pero Madam Chair, ang literacy programs kasi nilalaanan natin para maraming bata yung matulungang magbasa. As I understand, no, yun po dapat yung nandoon, ano, hindi para gamitin sa kung ano pa man, di ba? Para po sa pagbabasa. So, dahil sinasabi niyo na meron naman kayong NRP, NSP, which is in the regular, ano, pero meron kang ang learning losses na inaayos eh. So, Madam Chair, dapat ito sana yung binigyan natin ng mas mataas na pondo. And Madam Chair, yun lang po. Gustong sabihin na yung 150 million nga, ito 105 million lang eh. Baka pwede ilagay dito kung ganun yung kinakailangan, Madam Chair. Anyway, on to my next question, Madam Chair. Ito po ay tungkol sa DepEd Order Number 49, which was released in November 2, 2022. Ito po nakalagay, familiar po kayo dito, no? Ito ay sinasabi na it promotes professionalism in the DepEd, kailangan dumaan sa formal channels without resorting to any political or third-party intervention or accommodation. At employees and officials of the DepEd shall not disparage DepEd and must always be mindful of the reputation and honor of the organizations. May mga inimpose na legal restrictions. Must consider pala the legal restrictions imposed by existing statutes, rules, and etc. Ang question ko po dito, kung sa federation, organization, union, nagpaabot ng reklamo o grievance, bawal po ba?
Madam Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Your Honor, hindi naman po bawal to answer the question po. Hindi po bawal na ipaabot sa unions because meron naman po tayong continuing dialogue with the associations and our teachers' unions po.
Kung sa Congress po nagpaabot, congressperson nagpaabot ng reklamo o grievance, bawal po ba?
Hindi po natin pinagbabawal, Madam Chair, kahit kanino sila magpaabot, if I may answer completely. Ang gusto lang po natin is kasi po meron po tayong grievance procedures sa DepEd at any employee mas maganda na pag may problema mas diretso yung kumbaga remedies niya ay masabi na niya kaagad. But again, we are discouraging them from doing so para lang po mas mabilis nating matugunan yung problema, but hindi naman po natin pinagbabawal, Your Honor.
Yes, Madam Chair, kung sa congressman or congresswoman nagreklamo o yung grievance pinadaan through SOCMED, bawal ba?
Again, Madam Chair, hindi po natin pinagbabawal, but we have to understand that DepEd has to be free from any form of politicization, for example. But again, hindi natin pinagbabawal po yan. They can do that, but we discourage that because, Madam Chair, yung susumbungan nila, siguro nasa kabilang opisina na lang nila. So siguro po, mas mabilis nating matutugunan kung dumiretso na po sila as per our procedures. But again, Madam Chair, to answer the question, hindi po namin pinagbabawal.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Gusto ko lang i-point out na walang specific law, rule, banning public employees from airing grievances, right? Through SOCMED or through any venue for that matter. At wala ring specific law defining formal channels or stating what channel is appropriate and which is not, di ba? Kasi po, gusto ko lang, Madam Chair, ipagdiinan, this expands and even exceeds the limits of number 1, the 1987 Constitution, the Code of number 2, the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. Number 3, the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers. Number 4, the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994. And the international standards such as ILO, UNESCO recommendations concerning the status of teachers. Labag din ito sa mga batas including jurisprudence na nagpoprotekta sa kalayaang magpahayag ng mamamayan, online man o offline. Kahit sa panahon ng eleksyon, kung kailan mas stricto ang generally mas stricto sa atin ang rules eh. Hindi bawal
Please
ang
wrap up,
opinion.
Your
Yes,
Honor.
Madam Chair, hindi bawal ang opinion at diskusyon tungkol sa social, economic, political issues, content-based restrictions and censorship ito sa freedom of speech na pinagbabawal sa saligang batas. Madam Chair, hindi pwedeng mag-exceed ng ganon. So kung sinasabi
Thank you very much.
ni USEC POA na hindi naman ipinagbabawal, dapat klaro po yun doon. Proper channel, sinasabi ninyo, pero wala pong batas na magbibigay kapangyarihan sa isang public official na limitahan ng isang tao kung saan lang siya pwedeng magreklamo. Walang ganong regulation, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Representative Brosas. Next to ask question is from the majority, Representative Haresco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tatlong puntos lang po. Number 1, manifestation of support. And 2, increase the budget of SPED. And 3, parochial concern. First, I would like to applaud the good secretary who has amazingly blended the role of being the Vice President and Secretary of Education. And I also would like to applaud the performance of DepEd because the obligation rate last 2022 was 95% and the disbursement was 92%, the highest relative to the other departments, and this quarter about 20%. So they're on target, Madam Chair. Second, the SPED program has no budget in the NEP. May I request Madam Secretary and fellow co-sponsors to increase the budget of DepEd on the special education program so that this augments the blended learning strategy of the good secretary by some 20 billion at least. Kasi marami po mga eskwelahan o mga estudyante sa Aklan ay hindi po nakakapasok because they're overcrowded. Number 3, may I remind the DepEd family, 5 months ago, there was a fire that burnt down the National High School in Leso, Aklan. And according to the provincial director and the regional director, they have to wait for the central office to check whether there was a fire or not, despite the affidavits of the mayor and our good governor. Thank you, Madam Chair, and fellow co-sponsors of the DepEd.
Thank you very much for the manifestation, Representative Haresco. You'd like to
Madam
answer?
Chair, may we request that you require everyone to observe silence because some of us are hard of hearing, including me, and it's quite noisy behind us. So can you request everyone, if they want to talk, that they step out the room so that we can hear everyone who are recognized to speak? Thank you.
The chair would like to remind everyone to please observe proper decorum and observe silence during the proceedings. The chair takes note of the manifestation of Representative Haresco. Next to ask question is from the minority, Senior Deputy Minority Leader Paul Dasa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm glad the Vice President said what she said because I felt the same way. So thank you. Everyone's silent now, and we can focus on the issues with DepEd. Madam Chair, I'd like to ask the Secretary. There's 24 million, according to their statistics, enrolled. What percentage would that be of all school age eligible students?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, can we request to repeat the question?
In these statistics given by DepEd, I think there's about 24 million students enrolled. 22 million public, I think a little less than 2 million private. What percent would that be of all school age eligible students? Just to give us a picture on how we're doing in terms of total enrollment.
Yes, Yusek Escobedo will answer the question.
Yes, Madam Chair. For the entire DepEd from kinder to grade 12, the school age for kinder is that 5 years old, and for grade 12 until we have age 19 and 20 years old.
And what percentage would that be?
For the kindergarten, we have for school year 2022 to 2023, 76.32%. For grades 1 to grade 6, 87.72%. For grade 7 to grade 10, junior high school, 93.63%. For grade 7 to grade 12, this is junior high school to senior high school, 83.53%.
Yeah. So it would seem that there are a lot of children, possible learners that fell between the gaps. So may I request, if the Secretary agrees with me, that in future deliberation, and I will request actually a copy, that they should include not just enrollment, but dropout and attrition rates. Because I think that's important for the public to know, and that should be a performance indicator also for DepEd. What does the good Secretary think about that?
Yes, Madam Chair, I totally agree with the observation of the good congressman. In fact, we are strengthening our planning office under the administrative strand. We are currently recruiting a retired official from the NEDA to help us strengthen our planning office in the Department of Education.
Yeah, thank you for that, Madam Chair. So hopefully in the future we'll get some statistics on that that will help us. Secondly, before the time of the good Vice President Secretary, I'm not sure if she's aware that the DepEd had substantial, at least to me, substantial unutilized appropriations. Is she aware of previous years' unutilized or unused appropriations?
Yes. Madam Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am not aware of years and years back, but however, Your Honor, we were made aware that especially during the pandemic years, mababa po yung utilization natin.
Well, for your information and for the information of my colleagues, in 2021, unused appropriations were 20.8 billion. 2020 was 28 billion. I think it will serve the interest of DepEd well and Secretary to also provide us previous years unused appropriations. Could you provide that at least, let's say, last 5 or 6 years, 2018, 17, 18, 19? Could that be provided to us?
Madam Chair, yes, we can provide the data to the Secretariat and the Honorable Congressman.
Because, Madam Chair, considering that there are so much shortages, requirements for DepEd, I think the Committee on Appropriations can help DepEd find solutions to utilize these funds. In terms of percentage, you know, your reports are somewhat, it's somewhat not accurate because you speak of 95%, 96%. But if you don't utilize 2-3% because your budget is 6, 7, 800 billion, it translates to quite a bit, which is, I think this year you still have about 34 billion. 2022 continuing appropriations from our count is about 34 billion, which will expire by year end. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Madam Chair, Yusek Pawa will answer the question.
Yes, Your Honor, if I may just share the challenges that we encountered when we came in. No? We do recognize that there's a big chunk, and we talk about percentages, parang maliit lang eh. But actually, when you look at the amount, malaki po talaga siya given the budget of DepEd. So what we are doing now, Your Honor, is we already issued DepEd Order Number 1 back in January because we saw that a lot of the bottlenecks had to do with procurement, for example. So ang ginawa po natin is we created a procurement strand. So there is a USEC Gerard, who solely handles procurement matters para po mapabilis. And we do understand that there are still some issues, but we have a catch-up plan in place, and we even hold weekly meetings po to ensure na we are able to bid out contracts, obligate, and disburse as soon as possible. But we do recognize it's really a work in progress, Your Honor. We will submit the reports as requested, and we welcome any help from this committee, Your Honor.
So, for example, Madam Chair, in my region, in my province, we're the typical shortage of classrooms, items. They all know that. So, to make sure you utilize 2022, which is about 30 billion, why don't you come up with a program, at least hire more teachers, do more last mile? I know there's procurement issues, but it's just a matter of just planning. Well, having said that, is the good Vice President familiar with the public Wi-Fi program?
Madam Chair, yes, it is under the admin. That's not a timeout. Madam Chair, Yusek Mempin will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, sir. Actually, the Department of Education is in close coordination with the Department of Information Communication Technology because they have also a projects or programs to have a free Wi-Fi based on their budget allocation, and we have closely coordinating because the trust of Department of Education is indeed to have an uninterrupted delivery of basic education. So when disaster or calamities happen, we want that there will be no disruption of classes. So we are going to that direction of use of technology in terms of providing uninterrupted services or delivery of basic education to our youth, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. The Vice President said earlier, and I was happy, that DepEd had another track, leveraging technology to solve some of the problems. So under the Wi-Fi program, there's 110,000 sites that's supposed to be funded, free public Wi-Fi. All DepEd schools are supposed to be there. So can I ask you, what percentage of DepEd schools are now have Wi-Fi as to without?
Madam Chair, can we just submit the specific details of those with Wi-Fi and without Wi-Fi? Because actually, in terms of what we have is the internet connectivity, meaning we do not know if, exactly if it is through fiber, through BSAT, or through public Wi-Fi, but we will submit the data to this committee.
Okay, I'll wait for that. But just estimate, because I think the Vice President and the public should know that you're spending billions for laptops and other devices, which is good. I support that. But all this equipment is really not much use. It can be used more if you're connected.
Yes, sir.
You have any estimate? What percent? 3%? 10%?
Yes, sir. For our public schools, we have 66.3% internet connectivity for elementary, which is actually 24,858 schools. Then for the junior high school, we have 7,308, or 71% of the population of the junior high, while 5,161 for senior high school, or 68% for our internet connectivity, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. In closing, Madam Chair, it's my last comment. There are a lot of concerns on confidential funds. We had a hearing with Commission on Audit, and I think I have to say that during that hearing, I was given documentation, and I think, well, at least DepEd and the Office of the President seem to have complied with the joint memorandum circular. I just have a suggestion. You can comment and you may not. I think it might be better practice to assuage the public and members of the House if even DepEd or the OVP can categorize the utilization of these funds without details, because they're intelligence funds. For example, all you would need to do is just disclose to the public, let's say, what percent went to child abuse, what percent went to drugs-related activities, criminal activities, child labor, or insurgency. And that might be one way to help the public understand that these funds are probably being used properly. You have any thoughts on that?
Yes, Madam Chair, we thank you, the Honorable Congressman, for his advice, and we take note of his advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Representative Dasa. For the majority, the chair now recognizes Representative Mark Go. Wala siya?
Ma'am, may we request a 10-minute health break for
Yes,
everyone?
please. Okay. The briefing is suspended for 10 minutes. Yeah. So, okay naman. So may I request everyone to please settle down and we will resume with our briefing. This briefing is hereby resumed. Once again, we'd like to request everyone to please observe proper decorum and silence as we proceed with our briefing. Next to ask question is Representative Salvador Plato from the majority.
Magandang hapon po sa ating mahal na Vice President at Secretary, Vice President Sara, at sa mga iba pang kawani ng Department of Education nandito ngayon, our dear colleagues. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. If I may, Madam Chair and Vice President, I would just like to make some recommendations which affect the department's budget. While I commend the effort of the department to construct new classrooms, I wish to raise a critical point. It has come to my attention that the newly constructed classrooms lack some fundamental amenities that are essential to both the students and the teachers. In fact, these classrooms are totally bare. I humbly recommend the establishment of a standardized guideline that ensures all newly constructed public school classrooms are thoughtfully furnished. Mga basic amenities, madam, like tables, chairs, blackboards, mga ventilador. Naintindihan ko po, Madam Chair, na maraming problema sabay-sabay na hinaharap ng departamento. Pero naniniwala ho ako sa simpleng pagbibigay prioridad sa mga basic amenities na ito, makakatulong po tayo sa pag-angat ng kalidad ng edukasyon sa Pilipinas. Thank you, Vice President, Madam Chair, and the rest of the Department of Education. Together, let us continue to build a better educational landscape for the young generation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the manifestation. Would you like to comment, ma'am?
Yes, we thank you, the good congressman, for his advice, and we take note of the advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very. You have another question, Representative Plato.
Thank you, Madam. Okay na yun.
Thank you very much. Next to ask question is Deputy Majority Leader Bong Teves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Chair, fellow Congressman, the Department of Education, headed by no less than the Vice President of the Philippines, Vice President Sara Duterte. Pleasant good afternoon to all of you. Madam Chair, I don't have any questions with regard to the proposed budget of the Department of Education. Instead, this representation would like to manifest my full support to the budget of the Department of Education in appeals to my fellow congressmen to increase the said budget dahil po hanggang sa ngayon ay mayroon po tayong 159,000 nakakulangan pa rin po sa mga classrooms. Ang ating pong mga paralan ay marami pa rin pong hindi natatapos at may mga sira po ng dahil po sa bagyo. Kailangan po natin itong ayusin. Through the Vice President Sara Duterte, I am sure that she more than capable to address and resolve these issues. Alam ko po rin, with her political will, ay maayos po ang mga kakulangan ito. Kung kaya, I highly support the budget of the Department of Education. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you for the manifestation.
We thank you, we thank the Honorable Congressman for his support to the Department of Education.
Thank you very much. Next to ask question is Representative Mark Go.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Honorable Vice President Sara Duterte and her team in the Department of Education. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Una pong gusto kong ipahayag ngayon ay I fully support the proposed measure or the proposed budget of the Department of Education. But the question I have is, magkano po yung original budget na pinropose ninyo? Madam, Vice
Madam
President.
Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Ang propose po namin actually originally is around 900, more than 900 billion po. I can get you the exact figures. That this was prior to the DBM deliberations. And then during the DBM deliberations, ang pinropose po namin is 761.79. No? So actually 953 billion po. Sorry. 953.74 billion yung una po nating proposal talaga. And binaba po namin to 761.79B after the deliberations. At ang lumabas po sa NEP ay 756.85 billion.
With this budget as indicated in the NEP, meron po ba kayong mga programa na because of the reduction you will not be able to do? Madam Chair?
Your Honor, Madam Chair, wala naman po kaming programa that we will not be able to do. Ang ginawa lang po natin is binabaan natin yung mga, dahil nga po nasabi sa atin na meron tayong limited fiscal space no, sa ating national budget. Ang ginawa po namin is we just exercise fiscal responsibility by distributing from one program to another. Pero wala po tayong program na talagang hindi natin may implement. Nabawasan lang po talaga. For example, in the school building program, of course, what we would have wanted was around more than 80 billion. Pero dahil nga sa limitations, nababa natin to 33 billion for the total basic education facilities and just 19 billion for new construction. So ganun lang po yung nangyari. Bali, we did not remove any program, but we had to recalibrate yung amounts for each program po.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yusek. Yung pong other question ko, dito po sa linabas na report ng CPBRD, nakalagay dito, you have a approved plantilla position of 1,016,147. At ayon din po dito sa report na ito, there are less than 50,000 unfilled positions. Yung po bang unfilled positions na yun kasama dito sa budget na pinopropose ninyo?
Madam Chair, Yusek Mercado will answer the question.
Yes po, sir. Kasama po.
Kasama.
May for 2024 po, meron tayong 20,000 allocation for new teaching position.
So ang ibig sabihin po niyan, yung pong hiningin yung additional positions ay galing po dito sa unfilled positions na ito.
Hindi po, sir. Ito pong i-explain ko, sir, yung
Yes, ma'am.
ang total authorized items po natin is 1,025,823. Total filled up po is 974,696. Traditionally, sir, palagi talagang 96% lang ang ating na fill up through the years, no? And this is a live number kasi may nagre-retire, napopromote, at meron ding nawawala, no? And other than that, meron tayong tinatawag na green lane. Ito yung SPIMS. Sa Pinas, ikaw ang ma'am, sir. Ito yung mga OFW that we give priority for hiring. For this year po, ang ni-request ng DMW is 3,000 positions. Pangalawa po, meron tayong kinoconsider yung mga 4Ps graduate at saka yung mga DOST scholars. Automatically po natin sila ina-accommodate sa Teacher 1. Ang problema po natin, kaya maraming naiiwan na unfilled, dahil itong mga DOST scholars, nagpapadefer muna ito for 1 or 2 years. So we're working with DOST para maayos yung kasi batas po siya na dapat 1 year lang yung deferment ng ating DOST scholar. Tapos meron po tayo, sir, mga hard to fill na mga posisyon. Ito yung mga yung MAFI, yung Music and Arts, at saka yung guidance counselor po, at saka yung mga sa techbook na position. So, yun yung reason kaya ano tayo, mayroon tayong naiiwan palagi na number. Nung nag-parochial concern po kami, as we tell them of their allocation for 2024, we also tell the ones consulting us na malaki pa yung mga unfilled positions in their congressional district.
Pero ito pong unfilled positions na ito, budgeted na ito.
Yes, sir.
And this budget is loaded already to DepEd or
2023.
nasa ano pa po ito? Nasa DBM pa yung pera?
Sir, as of yesterday, pati po yung bagong request ni BP Sec na 5,000 support natin to reduce the ancillary ay in-approve na po kahapon. This is 3,500 additional na mga admin support and another 1,500 experimental po ito. Meron binigay na PDO2 ang DBM para mag-manage ng mga program that are at school-based.
So in other words po,
So, karga na po lahat.
you will be hiring itong 5,000
Yes
na ito
po.
na additional plus yung pong unfilled positions.
Yes po, sir.
Maganda po yan.
Itong
Siguro,
current, sir, na 51,127, ongoing po ang hiring dito. Ang reason lang po kaya medyo na-delay, ang NOSCA po natin na-release ng May na. So
yung pong budget dito na hindi nagamit sa PS, ginagamit po ba nyo ito o ano po ang savings po ng DepEd ito?
ginagamit naman, sir, kasi ma-fill up din eventually at the end of the year.
Sa end of, pero yung the whole year, hindi naman po nagamit yun dahil hindi nyo na-hire.
Oo, sir. Meron din na savings, considered savings, sir.
Mhm. Are you allowed to use these savings for other
Sir, may I be recognized, Madam Chair? Sir, ang nangyari kasi, unless ma-fill up natin siya, hindi naman nire-release yung pondo, yung NOSCA sa atin, no? Di ba po? Yung, nasa MPB lang siya. So actually, nagagamit lang po siya. Lump sum amount kasi siya. So, hindi siya magagamit unless ma-fill up namin, sir. So, to answer your question, hindi po namin siya nagagamit. Hindi namin siya nagagalaw.
July lang kasi, sir, nagde-take effect yung, kunwari for 2023. July lang nagde-take effect yung position.
So ito po ba bumabalik sa DBM yung pondo o it's retained with the
For later release siya.
Apo. Nasa DBM pa actually, Your Honor, yung pondo. Once ma-fill up namin yung position, tsaka lang i-release ni DBM yung pambayad doon sa plantilla position po na yun, Your Honor. So, it's not with DepEd yet even.
Okay. Dito po sa iba't ibang region, ano po ba yung mga regions na maraming unfilled positions? Ako po yung taga-CAR, sa Baguio po ako. Meron po ba kaming mga unfilled positions sa CAR na kailangan ma-fill up po yan?
Sir, magaling po ang filling up rate ng CAR. It's 97.77. Ito yung for 2020, 2021, 2022. Consistent po siya, 97.77. Pero meron pa rin po 16 na
16.
vacancies.
Nandito po ba si Dr. Carino? Stella? O yan.
Nandito po siya.
So yun po, siguro kung kailangan na i-hire na yun, pwedeng gawin within this year so that ready po sila doon sa susunod na taon for 2024.
Yes po, sir.
Mhm. Okay. Ito pong tukol naman po doon sa ito pong Baguio Teachers Camp. Meron po kaming teachers camp doon eh. Nandun po yung PSC, ito pong Philippine Sports Commission, at meron po ako isang panukalang batas na approve na po ito na magtayo ng National Sports High School. At ang venue po sana ay sa Teachers Camp. Okay po ba sa inyo na doon ilalagay yung pong Baguio High School po, Baguio Sports High School?
Madam Chair, Yusek Memping will answer the question.
Thank you for the question, Madam Chair. Your Honor. Actually, the Baguio Teachers Camp is a DepEd property, and we will study, of course, with the proponent on how will be the arrangement on the proposal of having a Philippine sports school inside Baguio Teachers Camp.
Okay, so hintayin po natin yan kung posible lang po kasi malapit na pong maging batasyon. At ang in-identify na venue is ito pong Baguio Teachers Camp. Tamang-tamo po ito kasi meron tayong sort of an athletic bowl doon at iba pang mga facilities na pwedeng magamit ng mga bata should they pursue ito pong sports sa Baguio.
Yes, sir. We will closely coordinate, sir, so that we will also not delay the proposed project. Thank you, Your Honor and Madam Chair.
I think, Madam Chair, yun lang po ang aking mga katanungan at I would like to reiterate my full support to the budget of the Department of Education. And I'm sure with the leadership of our Vice President in the department, we will make a lot of headway as initially shown during this 12-month period, Madam Chair. Thank you very much at magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you very much, Representative Marco. Next to be recognized is Deputy Majority Leader Marlene Primicias Agaba.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To my dear colleagues, to the DepEd family, sa ating pong lahat, magandang hapon po. Naimbag nga malamtay amin apo in our dialect Ilocano. So, Madam Chair, just a short manifestation. Last committee hearing of the North Luzon Growth Quadrangle, the Honorable Undersecretary Ipimako Densing was there, and we are happy to hear. In-inform niya kami talaga kung ano yung mga policy ng ating departamento regarding sa construction, repair, and rehabilitation of classrooms. So, Madam Chair, Madam Vice President, on behalf of the people of our district, I just would like to appeal that there are some in our district that are conducting classes in some makeshift made by the PTAs. So, yun lang po, I would like to appeal for them, knowing that it is also the direction of the DepEd. Thank you very much. So, with that, Madam Chair, I would like also to say thank you to DepEd sa lahat po ng mga masisipag na mga guro sa aming distrito. So, on behalf of the people of our district, gusto ko po kayong palakpakan. Maraming salamat po. And again, Madam Chair, the people of our district fully support the budget of DepEd. And if there is need to increase their budget, we fully support the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the manifestation, Representative Agabas.
Yes, we thank you. We thank the Honorable Congresswoman for her support to the Department of Education, and we take note of her appeal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next to be recognized is Representative Jose Aquino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maayong hapon, Madam Vice President. May tanong lang ako. Ano po ang criteria para magkaroon ng school building ang isang district? And who is in charge of this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We recently created the School Infrastructure and Facilities Strand in the Department of Education. Yusek Densing will answer the question.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Previously, before the infrastructure strand was created, it is based on property donated or property given a usufructuary agreement with the DepEd. Second, of course, private individuals donating because, again, the limitation of the school building are the buildable spaces. In the absence of buildable spaces, we'll not be able to put a building in a specific area. So we rationalized the school building program, and right now the rationale is because of the large universal shortage of 165,000 classrooms, or if you look at it in peso value, around 420 to 450 billion. We rationalize it into a medium-term and long-term program, as mentioned a while ago and as discussed with the North Luzon quadrangle, growth quadrangle, the priority right now is to address and ensure that we give classrooms to those areas where they have not experienced any classrooms at all. In other words, makeshifts, temporary learning spaces, and literally no classroom at all. And we're talking about 1,004,000 students who are being taught under those circumstances. So the priority there, assuming that we allocate 70% of the budget and 30% to shortages, we will be able to cover that by 2028, Madam Chair, Your Honor. In the long term, again, with the absence of buildable spaces, the instruction or directive right now is to stop or to minimize one-story classrooms. We intend to build multi-story classrooms to maximize the buildable spaces. That's why during the consultations with Your Honors, if you can see the buildings there, at least 95% are 2 stories moving up, and the values are much bigger because we wanted to maximize already the schools. If you look at the population growth of our country, we're growing at 1.8% per year. That's around 2.1 million new Filipinos born every year. Therefore, if you compute the net enrollment, it's always in favor of more students coming into the school system rather than going out. Therefore, every year, there's always a need to increase the number of classrooms. And therefore, the objective in the long run is really to build multi-story school buildings. And we are now moving to a new stage of our school building program, which is building mid-rise to high-story buildings, which means 5 stories to 12 stories, depending on the capacity of the soil to absorb such a mid-rise or high-rise building. And this will be put in highly urbanized and highly populated areas or local government units or catchment LGUs. In other words, an LGU where it services children from other local government units. And to start with, in 2024, our National Expenditure Program has allotted 2 billion, as approved by the DBM, for an initial 3 mid-rise to high-rise buildings, and hopefully we can do more in 2025 for those areas which are highly populated, highly urbanized, and catchment areas. Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you. Madam Chair, just for the information of Undersecretary Densing, my district is a highly urbanized district. And there's this high school, it is the biggest high school in my district. Na-condemn na yung nalagyan ko ng 30 million last year. And mahihinto yun. I think kailangan naman siguro lagyan nyo naman ng para matuloy kaysa maging stuck na yung school na yon.
Madam Chair, if I may. From what I know, I saw the building, Madam Chair, Your Honor, and yes, the building was condemned. From what I know, it was already been budgeted for 2023. And we intend to build more in Butuan City and the near Agusan del Norte area. Because again, understandably, that area is really full of makeshifts and the students are really growing in terms of population.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, I just said it was funded under sa 23 for 30 million. No? But I know yung 30 million na yan, pagka hindi yan nasundan, hinto na naman yan. Imagine, may ka ng 1 or 2 years, walang mangyayari. No? Just for the information of the
Madam Chair, Your Honor.
It is my neighbor.
We take note.
It's a school. The school is my neighbor, and it was donated by my father. No, way back 58 years ago. No, walang ginastos ang gobyerno diyan. Lahat galing sa father ko. Yun lang naman ang gusto ko sa DepEd. Ituloy nyo lang. Di ba? What would you feel if you were in my place? I've been sending folders. Tinutuhanan ko, sinunod ko ang gusto. Akin lang, kahit pakonti-konti. Wag nyo naman anuhin. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, for 2024, there is again an allotment or allocation for Agusan National High School for the 24 NEP. And we also take note of that to consider that it is really the most populated school in Agusan del Norte, and it is one of the priorities for purposes of school buildings. Again, buildable space is key, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Yes, Yusek, the last time we were here, no, pinakita nyo lang sa akin yung isang school sa Durian and Barangay Duungan. That's why I really felt bad. I have to be honest and frank about this. No? That's why nagantay ako mula umaga hanggang ngayon just to, manifest this. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Congressman Joboy Aquino. Next to be recognized is Congressman Roman Romulo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Secretary, DepEd family. Siguro yung akin lang, baka manifestation if you want to comment. Kanina kasi may nagtanong tungkol doon sa learning loss, kung ano ang ginagawa po ninyo. Ang sagot po ninyo ay yung learning camps. Pero hindi ba po parte nga ng sagot dapat ay yung ginawa ninyong matatag curriculum? Kasi ang sinabi ng World Bank, learning loss is hindi marunong magbasa. Hindi ba kaya nyo inintroduce yung matatag curriculum at nag-focus kayo sa reading, and mathematics? And ito po, hindi ito stopgap. Pero you're going to do this in the actual academic calendar. So mali ba yung intindi ko? That is why we have the matatag curriculum. In fact, is to respond to the learning loss.
Madam Chair, Yusek Gonong will answer the question.
Madam Chair, Honorable Roman Romulo is correct. I should have mentioned that the Matatag curriculum is part of our programs to recover from learning loss. And on top of the Matatag curriculum, we have the National Learning Camp, the National Learning Program, the National Mathematics Program, and other programs that the regions may implement in the future.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the main response to learning loss is actually the change in curriculum from 6, 7, 8, 9 subjects, ibababa yun to 5, 6, at nakafocus siya sa reading, and basic mathematics. So I think in response to the earlier query, yan yung sagot natin kung bakit importante na ma-implement agad yung matatag curriculum. Second, laging natatanong kasi itong access yung buildable space. So kanina ang sagot niyong isa ay ang blended learning, which we all agree with. Pero in addition to that, is the DepEd also considering the expansion of the IGASPE from grades 1 to 6 as what we are proposing in the House? Is this something that can be considered by DepEd?
Madam Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Madam Chair, thank you. Yes, Your Honor, we are definitely supporting the expansion of IGASPE. In fact, I understand that we are participating dun sa mga pending bills for the expansion of the voucher program.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, siguro ang kailangan rin natin sa DepEd with respect to the expansion of the IGASPE ay two things. Yung una ay nagawa na ba yung school mapping of private schools all over the Philippines para alam natin kung saan meron mga paaralan ang pribado na pwedeng mahinga ng tulong. Kasi kung may classroom shortage tayo, alam natin posibleng mabuo yun, yung 159 or 165,000 in 2-3 years. So maybe this can be a response to that, but we need a school mapping of the whole Philippines kung saan may private schools na kung saan pwedeng may complementary nature. Meron po bang ganon?
Yes, Your Honor, I was informed by our operations team that school mapping for private schools is ongoing, and we will let you know and we will update you regularly po dito sa progress ng ating school mapping, Your Honor.
Yes, with due respect to the department, maybe pwede rin makahingi ng tulong sa DILG para mas mabilis yung school mapping, para maplano na natin agad-agad, para hindi ito yung problema natin taon-taon. Kasi imposible naman yung magawa in 3 years, in fact. Imposible yung 165,000 dahil meron pa rin mga masisira. But then with blended learning together with the expanded IGASPE, baka ito makatulong talaga for quality education. And with respect also this, Madam Chair, maybe the DepEd also will have proposals on the distribution of vouchers to senior high school and to grades 1 to 6. Kasi sa ngayon, wala namang walang standards eh. We just give that out. And I am certain that the DepEd wants quality education. So dito sana ay makapagbigay rin po kayo sa amin ng recommendation ninyo kung paano natin masasabi na may quality of education yung private school na binibigyan natin ng voucher or ESC.
Madam Chair, yes, Your Honor, we agree with you. In fact, our private education office na kinreate po natin is on top of that. But aside from that, pinag-uusapan na rin po natin kung paano natin may improve yung implementation ng ating voucher program. Sa ngayon, dahil nakikita naman talaga natin, meron pa tayong mga little tweaks na kailangan gawin dahil may mga challenges encountered pa rin po. But we will always coordinate with you, Your Honors, and we will always update you. Pwede naman tayong mag-usap po kung ano yung mga progress natin at ano yung mga panukala na pwede nating ihain para ma-improve po, hindi lang ma-expand, pero ma-improve din at malagyan ng safeguards yung ating voucher program.
And then, Madam Chair, earlier also, there was a comment about not giving focus to mental wellness. Para maliwanag rin po tayo, no, because we've been taking this up in the committee. In fact, tayo po sa House of Representatives, we've passed it already on third and final reading. Ang problema kasi sa mental wellness, ang nakalagay sa batas, kailangan registered, kailangan guidance counselor. Napakahirap po na makahanap ng guidance counselor na makapasok sa DepEd dahil walang karera. Pero, meron po tayong bill dyan na napasan na namin ng third and final reading, and maybe the Department of Education can also help us in the Senate so that we can finally pass this, so that we can allow more counseling to happen not only for our learners but also for our teachers. So I hope the Department of Education is one with us. Kasi matagal na namin pasado dito sa House yun.
Madam Chairperson, yes, Your Honor, I was just informed na on second reading na po sa Senado yung corresponding bill po nila, and we definitely support and we will really help you para ma-fast track ito dahil kailangan din po talaga natin itong mga hindi lang guidance counselors, pati na rin po yung mga aides na kasama doon sa bill that will help us hire more po for our mental health programs. Maraming salamat po.
Then, Madam Chair, also, earlier it was also asked about the teaching supplies allowance. Para alam rin po ng lahat, and I hope the Department of Education is also aware, here in the House, pinasa na rin po natin, nandun na tayo sa appropriations. And that is correct, it's 7,500 to 10,000. So hopefully soon enough we will be able to pass that in the plenary. At huli na po, may narinig akong bell po, kasi kanina may nagkomento rin po, tinanong, yung ilan ba ang estudyante natin na nakapasok sa K-12 in the universe, nung age na yun na dapat pumasok. Ang binigay sa atin was 76, 87, 93, 83%. So alam natin na meron pang hindi nakakapasok. Ang kaninang komento doon, sa ng kaibigan ko na si Paul, ang sabi niya kanina, baka dapat tingnan natin yung dropout rate, yung mga bagay na gano'n din po. No? But again, I urge the DepEd to take this cautiously. Because right now, Sir Paul, sa totoo lang, isa sa pahirap rin po sa atin, yung PBB natin, isang nakasulat dyan, ay kailangan po tingnan yung dropout rate, ilan na pumapasa. That is why minsan sa ibang paaralan, informally, sinasabi sa atin ng ibang teachers, ang nangyayari dyan, nagiging pass all eh. O minsan, hinahanap po nila yung estudyante pag hindi na pumasok kasi nire-require sila. So maybe we should find a good balance to this because kailangan natin quality education eh. Hindi natin pwedeng para lang for the sake na mapasa yung PBB o makuha nila. There must be a different formula. To inspire also our teachers to provide quality education. Pero kung tataliin rin natin yung DepEd o sabihin natin sa kanila, tingnan niyo yung dropout rate niyo, kung masama yung dropout rate niyo, ay parang magagalit tayo. Kasi hindi yun eh. It has to be quality education. But I also agree, because there's a school of thought, Paul, that's saying na mas magandang pinapasa talaga no, kaysa maiwan kasi ano mang gagawin natin. But if that will be the case, then DepEd should propose to us a program kung paano magkakaroon ng catch-up. Hindi ba? Parang why when they're promoted to the next level. Kung hindi, remember Paul, there is a survey that says yung grade 9 to grade 10 natin, 40% leave school. And the reason is not poverty. The reason is lack of interest. And of course, magkaka-lack of interest kung hindi naintindihan yung binabasa. That is why it is so important. That's why yung matatag curriculum is so important. Sana ma-implement natin at the soonest possible time because that is the key to everything. Reading, 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 and arithmetic. Salamat, Madam Chair. I heard the bell.
Thank you very much, Representative Romulo, and the Chair of the Committee on Basic Education. Thank you for the input. Next to be recognized is Representative Rufus Rodriguez.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, my distinguished colleagues. And let me now greet, therefore, our Secretary of Education, the Honorable Inday Sara Duterte, who is the highest official in the government today from Mindanao. She's following up the footsteps in the 1960s of Vice President Emmanuel Pelaez. 1980s, we have also Vice President Teopisto Gingona, and now Inday Sara is our Vice President. Please, pakpakan natin yan because nasi Joe, our leader of Mindanao also. Thank you very much, and good afternoon also to our USEC who was with us in the consultation last week. I would like to mention USEC Mike Popoa, we have USEC Gloria Mercado, USEC MP Densing, and the others who were here. Thank you for increasing all my allocations for classrooms, for teachers' items, and then for laptops. Yun ang three important things for us classrooms, items, and laptops. Thank you for increasing my share. Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, we have heard a very comprehensive, concise presentation of the budget of the Department of Education. And we therefore congratulate Secretary Vice President Sara for the accomplishments that we all have seen and read. And because of that, Mr. Chairman, I would say that this presentation and the work of our Secretary answers the thirst of learners to learn. Because, Madam Chair, 3,300 years ago, the great philosopher, Aristotle, the teacher of Alexander the Great, what did he say about education? He said, man by nature desires to know. All of us desire to know, including our very young learners. And this was further elaborated in the 18th century by the great philosopher René Descartes. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. I exist because I think. And why are they able to think? Because they went to our elementary and high school education. And that is why those great philosophers are complemented by our Constitution. Our Constitution, Section 16, Article 2, Declaration of Policy and State Principles says, the state shall give priority to education. Priority, number one. Then, Article 14 of the Constitution on Education states, Section 1, it states that the state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education in all levels and shall take steps, appropriate steps, to make such education available for all. And that is what Secretary Sara is doing. And that is why our thanks to our Secretary, and I would like to say that in this budget hearing, you were given the budget of, from the NEV of 758 billion. Is that confirmed? Yusek Poa?
Madam Chair, yes, Your Honor.
Confirmed. And this is only 5% increase of last year's 721 billion, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor, 5.8.
And in fact, you submitted to the DBM 900 billion, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor, more or less.
But
yes.
then the DBM reduced that 900 billion to only 758 billion, correct?
Yes, but only because of the limited fiscal space, Your Honor.
Because the Secretary said that in fact, she would maintain earlier that all departments would need that. But because education should be given priority by the national government and this particular House of Congress to give priority,
May I ask the Secretary now, Secretary Inday Sara, if there are items in the 900 billion proposal that are very important. Time na ba ako?
You have 30 seconds, Your Honor.
I will go to the second
Yes.
round because I'm going
Yes,
to...
you have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Yes, to wrap up. Second round, please list me there because I'm going to ask Jeremy Barnes to talk, and then Daisy Atienza of the House and other friends that I have here. So, please answer, Secretary, what items are very important because Congress has the power of the purse, and we are going to make sure that what is vitally needed by the DepEd should be given to the Department of Education.
Yes, Madam Chair, Your Honor, we will submit our wish list. This was requested as well by the Honorable Congressman Lagman earlier, and we already prepared our wish list, and we will submit it to the Secretariat.
Thank you.
you very
Final
much.
statement, Madam Chairman. Can you allow this representation?
Yes, quickly.
Very
Please.
quickly.
Yes.
I would just like to therefore move at the proper time. Move for the, not only for the approval of the budget of the Department of Education headed by Vice President, Secretary, our highest ranking official from Mindanao, not only to approve it, but to increase the budget in accordance with the wish list of the Secretary and the DepEd and his family. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Salamat, Joe. Manong Joe.
Thank you very much, Representative Rodriguez. Next to be recognized is Representative Benvenido Abante. Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po, Madam Vice President and the DepEd family. Unang-una, hindi ko alam kung saan kukunin ni Congressman Rufus yung increase ng budget ng DepEd. Oo, iniisip ko na ho kung saan kukunin.
Yan, importante.
Oo. Anyway, Congressman Rufus mentioned philosophers, you know, who are batting for a good education and even our Constitution. But I would like to mention what the Bible says about education.
Yun.
Diba?
Yeah.
Bible naman.
Tama.
Oo.
Oo.
Ang sabi sa Ecclesiastes 7:12, for wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. Malinaw, ano ho? Diba?
Ganda rin.
Napakalinaw. Oo. Oo. Mahirap, no? Ha? Anyway, Madam Chair, ilan pong mga questions that I would like to ask the DepEd family. No. I do not know if our good Vice President is aware of this. You know, in 2023, there was zero allocation for special education or SPED in the DepEd budget. Now, what happened to our SPED program, Madam Chair? Or is there any plan to revive the SPED program in 2024? Because this is very much needed by our special students, Madam Chair.
Yes, Madam Chair, Yusek Powa will answer the question.
Madam Chair, thank you po for that question. Actually, nung hindi naman po tayo nag-zero nung sa ating 2023, unang-una meron pa tayong continuing funds noon from 2022 at nabigyan pa tayo during the budget deliberations. So hindi po natigil ang ating SPED or tinatawag na natin ngayon na SNED program. So ngayon po for 2024, we have a budget proposal totaling 999 million. So ito pong 999 million will be broken down. 790 for MOOE o yung mismong operations ng ating SNED program and 209 million for yung ILRC, yung inclusive learning po na building part of our BEFF program po. So, to answer your question, tuloy-tuloy naman po ang ating SNED. In fact, we have around 195,929 learners that are under the SNED program po.
Ilan learners, Madam Chair?
195,929 learners. We also have 5,147 teachers. Ang ratio po natin ngayon is, well, at least the ideal is 1:15.
In how many schools, Madam Chair? Are all the public schools involved in it?
Around 12,000 schools, Your Honor, offers SNED.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In 2023, Madam Chair, DepEd launched the National Learning Camp. Isang malaking tutorial program para sa mga students after class. Ano nangyari po sa program na ito? Bakit walang report ng anumang accomplishment dito?
Madam Chair, Yusek Gonong will answer the question.
Madam Chair, we just finished the implementation of the National Learning Camp. We did a pre-test to our students, sir, and this week we're starting the administration of the post-test. So once we're able to analyze the data, we'll be able to share with you the results.
So, Madam Chair, can you submit to us the data? And how much have you spent for the National Learning Camp? Thank you.
Yes po, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Sa ilalim ng Early Childhood Care and Development, ECCD law, ay mandatory ang mga daycare sa lahat ng barangay sa Pilipinas. So, bakit po ang mga daycare teachers ay hindi itinuturing ng mga empleyado ng DepEd? Bakit sa LGUs natin ipinaubaya ang pag-hire at pag-train sa kanila? Hindi ba ito ay bahagi ng DepEd plans and ECCD program?
Yes, Madam Chair, under the law, basic education is kindergarten to grade 12, and daycare is under 5 years old, sir. These are the children that are under 5 years old. So they are not under the Department of Education. But ECCD covers 3 years old to grade 3. Yes. In concept, sir, yes. But daycares are not under Department of Education.
So, Madam Chair, ibig sabihin, the budget of a daycare program does not come from the DepEd, no?
No, yes, sir. We do not have a budget for ECCDs.
And therefore, it is the LGU that should give allowances. They're not receiving any salary. They're receiving allowances only about 2,000 to 5,000 a month, which is actually not enough. At any rate, aminado naman ang DepEd na kulang tayo ng teachers. And this has been detailed by some of our colleagues here. Now, ang nais ko lang, iniisip ko lamang, hindi po ba tayo pwede mag-hire ng mga teachers na hindi pa pasado sa LET? Di ba pwede yun? At bigyan na lamang natin ng 1 o 2 taon para sila ay makapasa sa LET. Ginagawa naman yan sa private schools eh. Oo. Bakit hindi pwedeng gawin sa DepEd? Pwede bang gawin sa DepEd yan?
Madam Chair, Yusek Mercado will answer the question.
Thank you po. Meron kasi tayong sinusunod na standard, sir, yung Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers, which requires really a LET passer. Pero dun sa past, meron tayong inallow during the pandemic, ang tawag natin para teachers. We gave them, and it's cleared with the Civil Service Commission, we gave them actually 3 years to pass the LET. And then, more than ngayon, sir, kasi na malapit na rin ang termino ng 3 years, we're currently planning to give them a review class for the LET bago sila mag-take ng LET exam.
So, Madam Chair, do we employ them habang hindi sila pasado pa sa LET? Do we employ them?
Yes, sir.
Are they
We employ them.
considered with the plantilla position, or it's more casual?
No po, sir. Ang tawag natin sa kanila para teachers.
Yes.
Oo.
But how do we employ them? Are they JO or casual or what?
JOs po, ang tawag natin sa kanila, sir, ay learner support aides.
And Madam Chair, how much do you pay them every month?
Meron po kaming standard, sir, meron kaming system of rating, and it's also based on the plantilla. Naka-align din siya. Meron kaming administrative assistant na doon nag-equivalent ang teacher aide. And then meron kaming TA1, TA2, then senior TO, STA3 and STA4. Naka-align din siya, sir, sa plantilla positions.
Okay. Time ko na ba, Madam Chair?
You have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Okay. How many private schools, for example, how many private schools that were closed during the pandemic, and how many have reopened?
Madam Chair, sorry. Yusek Escobedo will answer the question.
Madam Chair, Your Honors, as regards to the closure of private schools, for school year 2022-2023, we have a total of 239 private schools in all 16 regions.
Okay. Anyway, ganito po yun, no? I don't know if it's possible that we would support the private schools. I hope that they can be reopened because our public schools are overpopulated, no? So, is it possible for the DepEd to be able to subsidize our private schools para po yung mga ibang overpopulated na mga schools can be transferred to the private schools and be subsidized?
Madam Chair, Yusek Powa will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First and foremost, to answer the question, kaya po tayo merong GASPE, yung ating ESC at voucher program para po matulungan yan yung private schools. But as you mentioned, private schools really help us with decongesting our public schools. That's why just a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we met yung ating big private school organizations at pinag-uusapan po natin how we can improve the complementarity between DepEd and the private sector. And we will explore all options, Your Honor, possible para po makatulong din tayo sa private schools dahil nga po nakakatulong sila pagdating sa congestion natin. At hindi lang doon, pati doon sa TechFoc track natin, kaya tayo may joint delivery voucher kasi sila yung may equipment. So, again, we assure you that there will
Madam
be
Chair,
close
you still have
coordination.
board, no? You said that you met with the big private schools?
We met with the private school organizations, Your Honor, not the schools
So
themselves.
you said big private organizations.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why don't you meet with the small private organizations?
Your Honor, pauna pa lang po ito. But we will definitely try to meet with as many private school organizations as we can. Nauna lang po because they've been writing to us, no? So we wanted to have a dialogue.
Good.
But we assure you that we will have stronger coordinations with the private school, Your
Kasi
Honor.
Madam Chair, the voucher system is only for the senior high school, ano ba?
Sisimula po tayo ng grade 7 to 10, yung ESC natin, and then we have the senior high school for grades 11 and 12, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Salamat.
Thank you
Maraming
very
salamat.
much. Thank you very much, Representative Bishop Abante. Next to be recognized is Representative Tony Patalbano.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice President and all the DepEd officials. My first question with regards to especially the procurement to make sure that you have computers. May I ask the DepEd if they have included the famous Starlink of Elon Musk, because in remote areas there are no internet connections.
Madam Chair, Yusek Mempin will answer the question.
Madam Chair, thank you for the question, Your Honor. Actually, right now, sir, there were 19 recipient schools identified for the Starlink proof of concept, and it started last June, and we are awaiting the report for the proof of concept. They have done initial validation for the said, we have 19 pilot school, and this will be the basis for our further collaboration with Starlink, because we do understand that we really need all the support of this Starlink, particularly for those under the last mile score, or those schools under GDAS areas, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your answer that you have already embarked on the program of the Starlink. I noticed that we have a 1 billion budget for library hubs. And if you can allocate some of those resources to buy Starlink and make sure that they have proper internet, because it's quite strong, and this will augment more information better than the library system, would you agree?
Yes, Your Honor, we will explore all the possible solutions to the problem of internet connectivity, so that we will have no interruptions with our delivery of basic education, sir. We are looking forward for the uninterrupted, so we will do explore collaboration with Starlink indeed for our library hubs that is on the process of establishment, sir.
May you also ask the Elon Musk Foundation, the other foundations, and even the U.S. government, the Ambassador Mary Carlson, I've spoken to her, about donating a lot of the Starlink, especially in remote areas, so that we can educate other schools and students as well. And the barangays can also access it as a library point for learning.
Yes, Your Honor. We are just awaiting for the result of the pilot projects. Then we'll have a more closer or more coordinated actions for this project of with Starlink, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I'd like to request the DepEd to send the Starlink programs that they have forward in this committee. Next, Madam Chair, I have spoken to our good Vice President about probably a program I call the Balik Teachers Program. This means that it should be a program to get the best teachers that are retired from abroad or from the locals or current ones from abroad and locals to come back and teach our teachers and students the best practices, because some of them have graduated into the best schools and now are retired. Yeah, some are coming from Princeton, Harvard, Stanford, and I am sure that because their pension is big, they do not actually need to be paid more. They are willing to help educate our teachers and students. And if you can create this program, is the DepEd amenable to this kind of program, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, you said Mercado will answer the question.
Thank you.
Because NAYAP is under her strand.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll consider that, pero hindi pa namin siya napag-aralan, yung balik guro program. There's an existing program now on an exchange visitor program with the US, and it's currently under evaluation though. Pero pag bibigyan po namin i-develop namin yung concept, and we'd probably ask your suggestion.
Thank you, ma'am. Because ang dami po, I know I have studied and I'm an alumni of UCLA. I'm also an alumni of JFK Kennedy, Harvard School. And these associations you can tap, and they are willing to educate not only the teachers, but even DepEd as well in the best practices of the world. Thank you. In regards to the confidentiality fund, confidential fund, we know that the rights of the children are paramount to even learning. One child alone that is been abused, misused, and radicalized is one too many. And the death of a child, or even the problems of one child, is tantamount to too many. Madam Vice President, Madam Secretary, do you agree that there is a danger for students and young people
being used by syndicates to do drugs and push drugs?
Madam Chair, yes, we also have data. Yusek Powa can answer the question.
Yes, Your Honor. We agree that there is a danger in terms of drug syndicates in our schools. In fact, based on the data given to us, around 1,207 learners were arrested, no, for drug-related offenses, Your Honor.
What about syndicates that help recruit our students to do crimes and be lured into child trafficking?
That is true, Your Honor. Yes, we agree. Isa pong problema natin talaga yan.
What about students recruited for terrorism and destabilization?
Yes, Your Honor. We agree, as we gave the numbers earlier.
What about the child abuse of parents? And of course, the school officials who have committed child abuse, violence, and bullying.
That's true, Your Honor, and we have a zero tolerance policy on child abuse.
What about prostitution? Because our high school students in particular, and I know in my district that I have dealt with so many of them, they have been lured into prostitution.
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, what's alarming is hindi lang po high school, kahit po 10, 11 years old, ay napupunta na po sa prostitution at child pornography.
What about the corruption inside, of course, yung mga nasabi natin, officials and teachers? At syempre, yung pagkaroon ng mas moral degeneration dahil sa mga outside forces na they prey upon the innocence of the children.
Definitely a concern, Your Honor.
Therefore, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, and all my colleagues, the confidential funds are very important to the integrity and protection of the student. And I would like to even increase the confidential funds of the Vice President as Secretary. And last point, Madam Chair, I know that in my school, the La Salle Green Hills High School, the best high school in the Philippines, has a night school program to help augment classrooms. And I'm glad that you've already said a while ago that you're meeting with big private schools and associations, because at night and late afternoon, these classrooms are available for you to use. And that's what La Salle Green Hills did since the 70s to educate them. Please continue that. And at the proper time, I would like to have the additional increase of the budget of the Department of Education, and at the proper time, terminate the hearings right away. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Congressman Tony Patalbano. Next to be recognized is Representative Glona Labad-Labad.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. A pleasant afternoon to our DepEd family, headed by our beloved Secretary, and to our dear colleagues. First, I would like to echo the call for the enhancement of SPED school. Having a special daughter myself, so I'm really seeing the need for it. So hopefully our SPED school will be enhanced. And secondly, I want to be enlightened on the guidelines of securing a new item. May I know the guidelines? For, aside from their RQA or something like that, I would like to know the guidelines in securing a new item as teacher.
Madam Chair, Yusek Mercado will answer the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. As we mentioned during the dialogue that we have, basically dalawang ang requirement. One is the number of enrollment at saka yung number of teachers that are already in that school. So yung sa walang ibang basis to get into the system but through the RQA. Yung RQA naman, ma'am, after by next month i-run na namin yung bagong sistema, which is online. Lahat yun ang application ng ating walang masyadong human intervention na kasi parang AI ang principle ng ating bagong hiring through the RQA. So very fair po yung process.
Okay, thank you for that. And second, Madam Chair, I would like to know, with a running budget of 5.3 for 1 unit 2 classroom, yung timetable po natin to keep up with the 165 classrooms, as you presented a while ago, that we'll be needing 165,000 classrooms. Ano po yung timetable natin? Kailan po tayo matatapos with the classroom that's very much needed or urgently needed by our students?
Madam Chair, Yusek Densing will answer the question.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Your Honor, assuming lang kasi for 2024 NEP, we are given 19.6 billion for new construction, and that's equivalent to 7,879 classrooms only, considering that the shortage is 165,000. So when we made the projection, assuming a budget, an average of 24 billion a year until 2028, what we can cover is to zero out those students being taught under makeshift temporary learning spaces or no classrooms at all by 2028 on the medium term. In the long term, Madam Chair, Your Honor, it will take, with that average only, it will take more than 20 years to be able to cover the shortage, unless our population starts to depopulate. Because again, in the last 6 years, the increase in population is 1.8% per year. So generally, we have a net enrollment every year. So hindi po na matatapos. That's why while we are focusing on the infrastructure as a traditional way of addressing problems of the classroom, as mentioned by the Vice President and Secretary, we're also looking at technology, blended learning as another way of looking at addressing classroom shortage. In fact, we are scheduled to meet with a Microsoft Technology, to brief us on what they call AI on virtual classroom. So we are to be briefed on how AI can work as a virtual classroom. Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you so much, Yusek. And I'm just wondering, because like with my NEP, with my LIP, yung local contractor natin, they could make 1 unit 2 classrooms at 3 million. So can we not do that so that it would be a lesser year for us to come up or to keep up with our classrooms, much needed classrooms?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Your Honor, we are dependent on the costing coming from DPWH, because under the convergence program, while the budget is with the DepEd, the one implementing the school buildings program is with the DPWH. So the costing really comes from them, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Okay. In closing, or lastly, I would strongly support the proposed increase in the budget of the Department of Education. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Next to be recognized is Representative Steve Solon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Madam Vice President, and members of DepEd. I just have a question regarding the National Academy of Sports, or NAS. I just want to state that I find this to be an excellent project, especially the program to develop the Philippine athlete through the students and through DepEd. I just wanted an update on what the plans are for 2024, and I wanted to support the additional budget proposed by NAS, in the amount of 98 million if the program is good. So just an update on the NAS. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Madam Chair, the Executive Director Joy of NAS will answer the question.
Good afternoon. Thank you, honorable members of the House of Rep. Thank you so much, Kong Solon, Madam Chair. For 2024, actually right now we are still awaiting for the full transition program and the transition of the completion of our infrastructure at New Clark City. And we are completing also our phase 2. We are still bidding for our phase 2 projects. So that will build more infrastructure like the high school building, even the sports science building, and housing for our staff. No, Mr. Chair, are there any? That's the information that I can give you for now for the infrastructure, for the phase 2 for the 2024.
Yes, Madam Chair. But moving forward, you anticipate more students participating in the program? Kasi alam nyo, developing an athlete is it's all year round, no? Hindi pwede yung summer lang na maglalaro.
Yes.
I believe that the National Academy of Sports is focused on that, in developing the athlete all year round, correct?
That is correct, Kong. Yes, we will be improving, no, even the participation of our student athletes, since that is the main mandate of the RA 11470, to provide them quality education and sports training. At the same time, increase their participation in international competition as well as national competitions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam President, Vice President.
Thank you very much. Next to ask question is Representative Jocelyn Lim Kay Chong.
Salamat kayo, Madam Chair, and to the DepEd family. So let me just go directly to my question. For 2020 to 2021, school year 2021 to 2022, do you have the data or figures of how many senior high school students graduated from college, they got employed or dropouts or applied for TechVoc?
Madam Chair, maybe be clarified, is the question on college graduates or grade 12 graduates?
Senior high school po.
Thank you. Yusek Escobedo will answer the question.
Madam Chair, Your Honors, we will submit to this honorable committee the complete figures on the as regards to graduates of the senior high schools.
Yes, not only graduates, but graduates that pursued college education, those that are now employed or dropped out, and also those that applied for TechVoc or TESDA, whatever.
Yes, Madam Chair, we don't track our graduates after grade 12, so we do not know if they proceed to TechVoc or higher education. Thank you.
Yes, the reason why I raised this question is I think we need to review and consider on the designing course strands to meet the demands of time, especially in data analytics and science. Because there's a study, and according to the Analytics Association of the Philippines, by 2028, we will need 500,000 analytics professionals. And this estimate is only for the IT industry and can be more. So maybe jobs are available to be filled up by unemployed Filipinos, especially in the data science and analytics sectors. But the skills remain undeveloped and unmatched. And I think that is one reason that we need to explore yung designing courses for them.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, Yusek Poa will answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, with the comments and inputs of the good Congresswoman, yes po, that is precisely why nagre-review po tayo ngayon ng senior high school curriculum natin, and we have organized a national task force to conduct the ongoing review po. Those are the issues that we'd like to answer, including the misalignment between what is in the curriculum to industry demands, Your Honor.
Right, yes, because this is an emerging sector actually. No? And of course, it would also be nice if we have data to back it up. Kasi kung walang data, syempre parang shotgun lang palagi, no? Trial and error. So it's also good to have the data. And second question, with the online classes during the pandemic, what lessons learned or benefits can we derive from it or from such a learning approach?
Madam Chair, Yusek Pawa will answer the question.
Madam Chair, actually, what the lessons that we learned is that it was even possible to begin with, because you would agree with me that prior to the pandemic, hindi po nagagamit yung mga online classes natin, not even online meetings. So because of those lessons learned, that is why we are looking to institutionalize blended learning. However, ang tanong dyan is bakit hindi nyo pa ginagawa? We just want to make sure that once we institutionalize it and we are fast-tracking this, it will be effective. Ayaw naman po nating mag-suffer kaagaran yung quality of education. But that is the direction, Your Honor, to take the lessons learned from the pandemic, online classes, not only online but even yung mga modular lessons po natin, assignments, ay magamit natin for blended learning, Your Honor. Thank you po.
Yes. So you're saying that your SLP packages, the one that we used during the pandemic, to yung mga study and answer modules, are you still using them?
Yes, Your Honor, we are using them, Madam Chair, lalo na pag tayo ay nagsusumid din ng physical classes. Kung meron man pong, for example, yung naramdaman natin nung May na napaka-init, nagsususpend po ng classes yung schools, tuloy-tuloy po rin po yung pag-aaral using those modules, Your Honor.
Yes, I'm glad to hear that because we really invested in resources and the content and courses in that SLP during the pandemic. Moving on, in the past, DepEd also, by my parang policy, that most senior high school choose a specialized program, whether it's GE, ABM, STEMs, IT, etc. And they're confined to take similar courses or degrees in college. So how do DepEd and CHED coordinate measures to allow students to opt changing their specialization into another degree when they enter college? Kasi naging problema ito minsan. Pag STEMs, kailangan sa college, ganun din yung mga courses nila, science. But then what if they opt to go for business management or other courses?
Madam Chair, Yusek Gonang will answer the question.
Madam Chair, the link with CHED on senior high school is one of the jobs of the senior high school task force that has been recently created. Yeah, to make sure that there is alignment between what we do in senior high school and and the courses in higher education.
Yes, but what if that student, senior high school, after graduating from senior high school, opt to take a different path? Instead of, let's say, science, mag-business na lang siya. Because sometimes the younger kids, they don't really have a direction na talagang yun ang gusto nila, di ba? Nag-change yung mga minds nila.
Yes.
Kasi sa ngayon, parang hindi pinapayagan. Or if ever, hihingi pa sila ng approval or certificate of approval from their high school, from the high school where they attended.
Madam Chair, pinapayagan po ma'am, the kids are allowed to change their minds. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. And regarding devolution, ano ba yung mga devolved functions ngayon that you gave to to the LGUs? Meron ba? Specific devolved functions or services?
Madam Chair, Yusek Pawa will answer the question.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, yung school building program po natin ang dinevolve sa LGUs.
So do you agree that the LGUs are underfunded to oversee and assume such kind of devolved function?
That is definitely the discussion at hand, Your Honors. Kasi wala tayong problema kung mayaman po yung LGU, first class, for example, LGU, but nagkakaproblema tayo sa 5th and 6th. And even yung first and second, hindi rin niya kasi mandato talaga, no? I mean, marami siyang inaasikaso. So, that is part of the discussion, Your Honor, kung kakayanin ba talaga. That's why meron pa tayong, dun sa, may discussion pa on the implementation, full implementation of the devolution plan.
Alam natin, hindi kayanin kasi si VP Sara was with the local chief executive before, and she herself, I think, if I remember right, mentioned na talagang he's not supporting that kind of devolution or transfer of diba? But anyway, we know that the bulk, although DepEd has the biggest budget, the bulk of the budget goes to PS, around 75% or 74%, and only 26% goes to MOOE and capital outlay. I think that's where we should focus on. Salamat.
Thank you very much. Next to be recognized is Representative Mitz Kahayon Uy. Ano ba siya? Representative Coco Yap. Representative Romeo Momo. Representative Joseph Violago. Wala din. Malis din. Representative Eulogio Rodriguez. Representative Cali Dimaporo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really don't want to ask questions, but just place into the record our concern in the province of Lanao del Norte. Maybe about 2 weeks ago, me and my sister, sitting next to me in the 2nd District, visited our province and we met with West Mincom. They explained to us that there was an encounter in Lanao del Sur, and we were informed that this encounter was with the Daula Islamia ISIS group. And they were able to track that 4 of those members that surrendered are actually from my province, the province of Lanao del Norte. After the Marawi siege in the previous administration, we were hoping that we will rid our area, the region of Lanao, of terrorists. So after the Marawi siege, we had maybe mga 6 DI that we monitored. Then it became, after 2 years, 3 years, 40 plus. Now the latest, maybe mga 60, from what I remember the military telling us. So they're increasing in number. Now what surprised me, Madam Chair, was those that surrendered to the AFP were actually children. 12 years old, 14 years old. Imagine our armed men in uniform firing at minors. This is something that really, concerned me. Because what they told me is that the recruitment, they interviewed those that surrendered, the recruitment age is actually 8 years old. And they are recruiting in the hinterlands of Lanao del Norte. We've identified the barangays. So when we were talking about this with our military, they were impressing the importance of an intervention in the elementary school level and the problem of dropouts or the inability of our children to pass through the public school system and become productive members of society. So this is something that we put our trust and our faith in the leadership of our President, President Bongbong Marcos, and the leadership of our Vice President, and DepEd Secretary, Sara Duterte, to hopefully resolve within this incumbent administration. I really hope that she will get the budget that she needs, because there are those of us in the far-flung provinces that are not heard of. You don't hear our voices, you don't see the problem. It's very difficult to send teachers there. You cannot send a Christian teacher to those areas because teachers actually are the best kidnapped victims because of their salaries. You have to send Muslim teachers, which is why I'm very happy that they are putting focus in the Alive program, which is Arabic language, Islamic values. In our regions outside of BARM, we're in northern Mindanao, a region in the periphery of BARM, where you have Muslim communities that are not under the autonomous regional government, we need that type of support. And these are high municipalities with high instances of poverty. So again, I'd like to extend our thanks on behalf of our governor, and we really look forward to the deliveries of the Department of Education in sustaining peace in our area and hopefully bringing quality primary education to the farthest flung barangays of the province of Lanao del Norte. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Representative Dimaporo. Ma'am, would like
Yes. Madam Chair, we would like to thank the Honorable Congressman for his input in in talking about the recruitment of minors in violent extremism and terrorism. The Department of Education actually has footage, video of children holding long firearms, a child holding a long firearm and speaking in a dialect about shooting soldiers. So we are currently discussing this in the Department of Education and coming up with solutions to address this recruitment of minors in Mindanao to terrorism and violent extremism. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next to be recognized is our Senior Vice Chair, Stella Kimbo.
Salamat. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our good secretary for the reforms that you have so far introduced. They seem to be simple reforms, but I believe that they are potentially impactful. Ako po, bago naging congressman, naging teacher po ako for 26 years. So ito pong matatag curriculum, palagay ko ay magiging very impactful. Yung pong pag-streamline ng subjects natin, tingin ko yun talagang susi. So, inaasahan po natin na potentially yan talaga ang magsosolve ng ating learning gaps. Number 2, yung pong pagtanggal ng wall decor, ang feedback mula sa aming mga guro ay, well, they're very happy kasi I didn't realize until recently na ang gumagastos pala dun sa wall decor ay yung mga teachers. So, well, again, so kudos on that. And then number 3, of course, bukod pa dun sa nakaka-focus talaga yung mga bata kapag wala talagang decor sa classroom. And then number 3, napansin ko po na meron tayong Undersecretary for Procurement. So tingin ko, tama ba ako na kayo lang ang ahensya na merong Undersecretary for Procurement? Tama po ba?
Madam Chair, we do not have the answer for that. We do not know the organizations of the other departments.
Yes, but ma'am, you were the one who put in Yusek Chan. Tama po?
Yes, Madam Chair. We created the procurement strand to address the utilization problem of the Department of Education.
So again po, congratulations on that. Alam naman po natin na yan po ang problema natin sa ngayon. Second quarter of 2023, nagkaroon po tayo ng 7% contraction in government spending. So salamat po for that. Sana po ang ibang mga ahensya ay maisip din nila na gawin ito. Kanino ko pa sana gusto marinig ang boses ni Yusek Chan. So, pero walang nagtatanong kasi sa kanya eh. So anyway, baka I don't know how long you've been in this position. So, but anyway po, Yusek Chan, hindi ko po alam kung ano na ba naging impact natin in terms of increase in disbursements. I don't know how long you've been in this position. Very quickly lang po, ano na ang naging reforms natin at increase in disbursement, kung alam na natin?
Yes, Your Honor. With the permission of the VP and Secretary, yes, we have made a lot of reforms already. Yun nga, isa sa pinakamalaking backlog ng ahensya before we came in is pagdating sa procurement. So what we did was to focus on procurement, yung pagkalampag sa lahat ng end users for them to be able to submit their documents and procurement projects on time. So yun po yung number 1 thrust po na ginagawa namin. Kasi dati po ang procurement is under the admin strand. So medyo hindi siya natututukan ng ano. And besides, admin is also an end user. So may possible na conflict doon. Sila yung end user, sila rin yung nagpro-procure. So kaya ni-carve out si procurement para may separate independent strand na tumitingin sa procurement na hindi siya yung end user. So wala yung conflict of interest doon.
Yes,
so
and
that's one.
How many staff do you have?
It's basically carved out from the admin strand.
Yes, so
basically
ilan tao sa opisina mo?
nasa mga 80 to 100. The whole strand, that's the whole. Kasi under
Alright.
the procurement strand, there are 3 offices. The Procurement Planning and Management Division, the Back Secretariat Division, and the Contract Management Division, and the Office of the Director for Procurement. So malaking ano po siya, organization din.
Yan. So, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, okay. And then so I move on to